Hello, everybody,
Good evening.
and welcome to the Barrel Roll Post-Credit Show.
We talk about games we've played, movies we've watched, and things.
And things we've done. I'm going to be
Yes.
honest. This week is mostly movie.
Yeah.
Not even.
Let's just get the smaller stuff out of the way then.
Okay, so I've played The Forest
Yes.
a lot.
Yes, you and Brian did.
If you want to know my opinion on that, there are like 4
Archive videos.
videos on our YouTube that you can just watch us play. Either way, good game.
It seems cool.
For a cheap game, because it's still in early access on Steam.
Okay.
Essentially, the game is you are on a plane. Because the story's very thin, because there's still obviously
You
in
said it
early
was called
access.
Forest, right?
The Forest, yeah.
The Forest. Okay.
Yeah, so
It's a survival.
yeah, so you're in a plane, and if you're the
Oh, in a plane. I heard on a plane.
No,
so I was
You're
like,
on a plane.
why are
You're
you
just-
on a plane?
You're
and
just
it's
on
called
top of the
Forest?
plane. You're going like, yes,
No,
it's
no, like
crashing.
I meant
In a
like
plane.
the planes.
Ah!
I was like, why is it called Forest if you're like on a plane?
That's the mystery.
so you're on an airplane,
Okay.
and if you're the first player, it's co-op. The person who starts the server essentially is like the main person.
Okay.
So you're sitting next to your kid, Timmy, and Timmy's got a survival book because obviously he's studying like for his wilderness whatever thing.
Yeah.
So you pick up his
Foreshadowing.
you pick up his book, and which is a main component to the game, and then all of a sudden the plane crashes.
Okay.
And when you wake up, there's this like tribal looking dude that's painted all red with like the palm frond skirt on, bones hanging off of him, and he's got Timmy and is stealing Timmy.
As he does.
Yeah, and you're all just
I
like,
expect
no,
that.
and then you pass out. And then the second player, who was Brian, he was another passenger who just happened to wake up on the plane. But your objective is essentially find Timmy. And other than that, it's survive. And find the other passengers, so you actually get a like manifest of the plane. And as you go around, you find dead bodies who are the other passengers.
Okay.
But your whole thing is you're on an island that is filled with mutants and cannibals.
Now, is it a procedurally generated map, or is it all...
It is
it's
consistent,
one-
yes.
It's consistent.
always the same map.
Okay, so
which
it's
Brian and I finally figured out. It took us a while because the plane crashes in different places.
Oh.
So the first one we crashed, if you watch our first video, we crashed, and there's this lovely overhang that there's a pond
It
underneath
looked cool.
it.
I saw that one.
And so we started building up there, but we screwed up a bunch of stuff, and you can't destroy certain things once you build them. So like a fire pit, once you build it, is stuck.
Okay.
And we're like, oh, we could have built something here that would have looked cooler, and da-da-da-da. So we restarted, and we started in a completely different part of the map. And then we explored, and we're like, oh, a river. This will be fresh water. No, because the water was coming right off the ocean, which we didn't see because the ocean was around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So we restarted one last time. And we found ourselves in a decent location with like it's not fresh water. Like it's still, like you hurt yourself when you drink it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a slow decay over like 14 days. We had lost 1% of our health.
Okay.
Or if you drink it too much, you get sick and have to sleep through it a whole day, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can build tree houses, and you can actually like build cabins and walls and traps, and you have to catch fish or rabbits or lizards and cook the meat, and the meat spoils after so long unless you dry it, so you have to build drying racks. You have to cut down trees and build axes and all that junk. So we actually haven't looked for Timmy,
Okay.
because Timmy's kind of boring. And then the newest update we haven't played yet, they just added zip lines.
Hmm.
So like it's more of a fort building game with your friends than anything else.
And is this online or is it?
It's an online game.
It's online, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's placed, or not PC. It's PC only right now.
Yes, they are going to come out on PlayStation, but like I said, the game's still early access, so they're
Yeah.
not even looking at...
No, it's
Consoles.
basically like another PlayerUnknown Battleground situation where they're doing PC and then eventually consoles. Will
Yeah, once they've got everything figured out.
Okay.
It'll come out on the consoles. But yeah, it's on Steam.
And like, how many players is it?
You can do up to 8 on one server.
Up to 8. Okay.
So that's... Brian and I are like, eventually it'd be really cool to get like 8 people and just screw the cannibals and the mutants and just like... Everybody builds separate bases, and you can almost play like a capture the flag sort of game. Like, I don't know what, like, you'd have to leave something in your base that they'd have to steal.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can build a sled, like a log sled, and change the color of the flag. Like, it would be cool if you could actually...
drag the sled.
You'd have to drag the sled back to your base. Like, you could actually make your own games within the game
That is kind of cool.
with
Actually.
enough people. And the cannibals would still be there, so they would just be an obstacle you would have to face. But once you get good enough in the game, and Brian and I have since found there's a katana in one of the caves that you can explore. We have found the katana.
That's a good weapon.
So the cannibals are like pretty easy to slice down now. The mutants are still a pain.
Okay.
So, and we've tried we've tried staying offline for a lot of the stuff because we don't want to spoil a lot of it as to like what we can and can't do or what's down a certain hole. So you start climbing down a hole, and your only light source is like a lighter at that point. And we got to the bottom, and all you hear was like, I looked down, and like right at my toes are these two like blue creatures, and I'm like, Brian, up the rope. And you see Brian like starting to climb, and it's like me behind him, and you're just hoping to God that the AI doesn't know how to climb ropes yet.
Yeah.
Which they don't.
Okay.
But we're still freaking out the whole way up the hole. Like we get out the hole and we're like, so we built a little flag post marking and like marked it as like, do not climb down this flipping hole ever again.
Okay.
Until you can figure out how to build Molotov cocktails and drop them down.
Which we can do now.
Nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of building procedure to this game too, which is we're trying to figure out. But so yeah, it's been fun. And for I think we got it on the Steam sale, so it was $10.
$10 or $11.
So for $10, we've spent a good 12 hours playing this game already.
That's all right for $10.
That's a good return on my investment on that one. That and I watched the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah,
or part of the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
I keep falling asleep at the same part.
My reaction is about that. I fell asleep in that movie too.
I don't know if it's the music. I don't know what it is.
It's just not interesting enough.
I don't know.
To me. Because I tried watching. I like the Easter eggs in it. I like the nods to Batman stuff. But beyond that, it's not
the one part that I have found absolutely hilarious is he's contemplating his family and looking at the wall, and Alfred's like, "Are you getting into one of your moods again?" He's like, "What do you mean moods?" And it's like, "Well, back in like 2000 whatever," and it shows like him and Superman going to fight, and he's like, and he names all the years,
all the old Batman movies too,
and it shows like all the old Batmans as like him in Lego form.
Yes, so Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, Batman.
Yeah, but it's all Lego.
Batman.
Now, did it have Lego bat nipples?
They just show the nipples.
Oh,
like it's just a like shot of the actual like.
That's perfect.
And then it's like, and then that weird phase back in the '60s, and it just shows Adam West dancing, like back in this, and you're like, not even gonna Legofy it, just Adam West.
And they do talk about shark repellent.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of nods, which is good.
Yeah, it's a full of Batman Easter eggs, but
that's overall, about all it's got. Kind of.
Yeah, the overall story is kind of thin.
Well, and I got to the part where he sends Joker to.
The Lost Zone.
Whatever the zone is.
The Lost Zone. The Phantom Zone?
Phantom Zone. Because Superman sent Doomsday there, so obviously that's what Batman has to do to his, bad guy.
Okay. Did you get to the Fortress of Solitude? Because that's my favorite scene.
Fortress of Solitude was good.
That was a good scene.
They're having a party without Batman.
Because Batman's like, no one's going to be there. I'm going to sneak in. He opens the door, and it's this giant, like, Justice League reunion party. Batman wasn't invited.
And the best part was Green Lantern's making jokes like even he's there. And you're just like, oh, shots at your own movie franchises. Good job. Superman's more my nemesis than anything else. Superman's not your nemesis. Yes, he is.
Well, I don't have a current bad
guy.
I'm fighting a group of people.
Multiple bad guys.
I'm just fighting people. And then Joker's like, oh.
And then I fell asleep.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah. 3
times I've tried. Okay. So it's on my list of like...
Eventually we'll finish.
No, it's on my list of things that put me to sleep.
Oh, no. You don't need to finish it, so.
As in the first part of The Walking Dead, which I still can't get through.
I could care less for Walking Dead.
He gets to a tank. Nick out.
Horsey.
So, either way, that's what I've
been...
And yard work.
Yard work is cool. That face is the face of defeat.
And painting. My body is aching. To paint my landing, it's like up. I don't mind painting, but I had to go like way up, so you're like you're doing this.
Okay, friendly giant.
So you you finish and you're just like I'm good. I'm pretty good today.
See, I just straight up hate painting.
So do I. I look at the landing and I'm like, I have to do another flipping coat. I'm never painting in yellow ever again.
That's bright.
It's not bright. You need to do like 3 coats of yellow for it to actually like
just
coat evenly.
Wow. Come out as yellow instead of like patchy yellow.
I don't even think about the color yellow as a paint.
I like yellow because I prefer yellow to white.
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I mean, in our house, there's almost no white.
Yeah.
But yellow is not a color I prefer because now we have 2 rooms that I've done yellow, and I have had to do multiple coats of paint, and it's driving me absolutely.
No, you're done with yellow.
I'm done with yellow. Yellow is no longer a color I will paint.
Yellowed.
I'll probably end up painting something yellow again. Either who, that's what I've been doing.
Cool. I watched Vacation, the 2015 sequel.
Soft reboot. Yep.
Soft reboot.
It was a sequel. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel / reboot of the original National Lampoon Vacation. It's not the world's greatest movie. I think it's a good summer comedy.
Yeah.
You turn on while you're doing something else.
They never were the best comedies ever. National Lampoon stuff never. Like Van Wilder
was terrible.
But like you can watch it and go, like there's parts of it where you giggle.
And same thing with this one too. I mean, I like the bit with the whole all these things with the car or whatever the vehicle is called. This thing's got like 3 gas tanks. One of them's like the charging port for the electric part,
which has a corkscrew on it for whatever. Like it's like we just plug it in, and there's like a corkscrew coming out of the middle of the plug-in because it's some weird Turkish vehicle.
Right. And you look at the key fob. There's like 60 different keys on it. It's
and
like,
one of them's a swastika.
They don't know what any of them do. They pushed one button and then it rotated the driver's seat like 360 while they're on the highway. The cameos in that movie were actually pretty solid.
They always were. That's the point.
And as soon as Norman Reedus came out, I was like, ha, ha. Oh, they're gonna play this character up real hard. Yeah, and they ended up doing that.
And Chevy Chase makes his appearance
as
Clark Griswold,
as expected.
Yeah.
And the movie's like revolves around Rusty and his family or something.
Yes, this is
so. So they're trying. He's trying to relive his family vacations by bringing everyone to Wally World.
Yeah. Well, because his family, like he says at the very beginning, he's like, our family's in a rut. What got us out of ruts, like back when I was young, he's like, we did a trip across the country to Wally World.
Yeah.
And he's like, that's what we're gonna do. And you're just like, all right, they're just like redoing, Vacation, and they make that joke in the movie. It's like, well, I've never heard of the original Vacation. It's like, won't it just be a letdown? And it's like, no, this Vacation will stand out on its own. You won't even need to have seen, like, you don't even need to know about the old Vacation to know this Vacation.
In some ways, some of the comedy bits, some of the comedy scenes it feels like they were lifted from the original movies.
There was definitely callbacks.
So
there's the part where his family's asleep and he looks next to him and there's the chick in the car hitting on him, like they're flirting car to car. And in the original, like, the exact same thing happens where she gets smoked as he's looking the other way, and Clark does, like, it's the exact same. What's going on? But and the fact that Chevy Chase was in the movie,
there's so few roles for him now.
But I think that helped,
like
solidify the fact that this actually was a continuing.
It's the Vacation CU.
Well, but I was happy with that because when they announced ages ago that they were doing a Vacation movie, I'm like, you can't redo Vacation.
No.
It is not a movie that you can just redo. And then they're like, no, he's Rusty Griswold. And I'm like, I'm okay with this.
Mm-hmm. Yes, if it's a tasteful follow-up, like a sequel, whatever.
But as soon as it's Rusty, you can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Yeah.
And you can pretty much redo the first Vacation movie.
Mm-hmm. Just in more modern times.
But the fact that they can call back to Cousin Eddie and make fun of the fact, the hick of Cousin Eddie and all that.
It still ties it all together.
It's there.
It might be a soft reboot, but it's also a sequel, and it all works together.
And that's what they should have done with Ghostbusters.
Cannibal cows.
Cannibal cows. Chris Hemsworth with a giant wang.
Expected giant dong.
Yeah. Which is prominently shown off.
Like multiple times. It's.
And the best part is Rusty's just completely oblivious to the fact that Chris Hemsworth puts his leg up essentially to show off the fact that he's got, and Rusty's like, he just came in here to show off his 6-pack.
Yes.
And you're like,
it's the size of this.
It's pretty much
underneath underwear.
Yeah.
It's not even apparent.
All right.
But the fact that they did that made me happy.
Yeah.
Because I look at Ghostbusters and I'm like, man, because the Ghostbusters reboot actually wasn't horrible.
That's on my list of to find movies.
It's an okay movie, but
don't go in with the highest expectations.
No, go in thinking it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Because as a Ghostbusters movie,
kind of does.
It does, but if they would have taken the beginning of that movie, fit in the old Ghostbusters who are all getting too old to ghost bust.
And they're trying to find replacements?
And then they find replacements because these 2 women work at a university where that's what they do, is study this kind of crap. All you need is Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray to go in there going like, hey, you guys are like the follow-up to this field. You should come and work for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need you to do
We have this
our
dying
thing.
company. We need...
Yeah.
Or something like that. To that effect.
Like something like that. And that movie would have been 10,000 times better because it doesn't try and erase all the other stuff going on.
Yeah, because it tries to set up its own stuff, eh?
Well, it's its own thing. Like, people don't believe in ghosts. People don't do this. People don't, like... And you're going, what? So... Mm-hmm. And I feel like the Jumanji movie's doing the same thing, because, I don't know, did you see the Jumanji trailer in front of? Yeah.
Amira thought it was alright. She was...
And honestly, the reaction from the theater was... positive on the most, like...
Yes.
Well,
yes,
it looks alright. It's definitely modernizing it, but I think it's also kind of a cool little twist where instead of bringing the game into the world, it's bringing the world into the game.
Which is perfect.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what happens, like...
Especially
Robin Williams gets sucked into the game.
Yeah.
In the original, we just don't know what happens to him while he's there until everything starts coming out of the game. This one, they're just...
And who knows, that might happen in this movie too, where we see the inside of the video game come out.
Well, and that can be sequels as later things go. But I think Jumanji is going the right route where it's so far removed from the first one that you're not going to be like, oh, this is completely different and I don't like it.
Yeah, Robin Williams isn't.
They're not trying to retread on that, whereas like the Ghostbusters movie was essentially just like shot for shot, let's try and like Ghostbusters things, except in a new modern world where the bad guy has to be a giant floating cloud in the sky with a laser beam.
Galactus is in this movie? In Ghostbusters?
That was not Galactus.
No.
Galactus.
We will not get into that.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
We will not get into that.
End up playing a little bit of Killing Floor 2, which is the, I guess, cooperative online multiplayer shooter. It's a zombie wave-based combat where you finish one wave of zombies, you take the cash that you get from killing all the zombies, whether it's the big ones or the small ones, and you basically upgrade your weapons. I played the first one on PC. I think I enjoy the first one more because in the PS4 version, Killing Floor 2, I think it's an 8-player cap, whereas the PC version, there was, I think, like a 50-player cap.
All the people,
all of the zombies, and it's not just like 5 or 6 or 10 even. It's like 200 per wave.
Yeah.
And so when you have 50 players in one map fighting hordes and hordes and hordes of zombies, it actually gets a little bit more interesting. All the weapons are basically normal guns that you see in the real world. You've got your M1911s, you've got your assault rifles. What is different from the first game to this Killing Floor 2 is that you get to choose different classes. So you get a demolitions expert. He's got lots of grenades, lots of explosive weapons. You get a pyrotechnician. He's got flamethrowers. You've got the gunslinger, which actually is my favorite class to play at the moment. Does he protect the Dark Tower? That's kind of the reason why I picked him, because you get 2 revolvers right off the bat. I'm like, yes. Any game that allows me to dual wield revolvers, and there's literally a separate button to twirl your guns in first person.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
it's
the
Idris Elba. Like,
it feels like the accent's a little bit off, but he dresses like he dresses like a gunslinger. The time period piece in Killing Floor 2 seems odd because it looks like they're playing with time travel stuff, because again, you got all those old-time Western characters in sort of a modern-day environment, and a lot of the quips are like, this is new to me. Like, I don't understand what's going on, but this gun's pretty cool. And so you have a gunslinger with 2 modern M1911s, and it's like, he doesn't know what to do with them, but you're still shooting them. Like, they're guns. He's still going to use them.
Pull trigger.
Pull trigger until zombies die. And so, yeah, it's a wave-based shooter. It was free last month on PSN. It's basically why I had it. I don't think I would pay $40 for it. But it's a good, it's a good break from every other game that I've been playing so far, because I haven't really been doing a lot of first-person shooters.
Yeah.
A lot of Tekken 7 last week. I haven't actually touched it since since last, because the story is kind of bland in Tekken 7. I just have no interest in it. But I'm really digging Killing Floor 2. I mean, as a one-off shoot zombies, mindless, don't even think about it kind of game. It's not a lot of depth, really. If you don't look into the story, don't look into anything. Just shoot zombies until dead. So, if you want it, I think it's always on sale on Steam. It's always on sale everywhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen it.
It's always on sale. But at the end of the day, I think I like the PC version of the first game more, just because it's a lot crazier, a lot zanier.
Yeah.
You have those PC mods that'll get 50 players in a map. You get, it's a lot more interesting. But that's the games. Oh, and Chrono Trigger, because I'm in my Chrono Trigger bit right now. My annual Chrono Trigger playthrough, because that game is one of the best RPGs I've ever played.
That's what I've heard from a lot of people.
It's a good
RPG.
It's one of the top. It's my top 3 RPGs of all time. It's real good.
Well, so, Mino26, that's great for you.
Twitch is my job. Neat.
I would like to go back to
you own England? You said England is my city.
The Queen owns England.
No, but Mino says England is my city, so no. you own England.
And Blue Lava.
You and I need to talk.
Blue Lava, if you're still watching, stop watching.
You're gonna have a bad time. In about 5 minutes.
This is about to be spoiler city.
You're gonna have a bad time. Just straight up saying all 3 of us have seen it. Spdier-Man.
So games, anything like?
Anything to share?
Have not been playing any games.
That's fair.
I bought a bunch of new games during, I want to say it was around the Father's Day sale or something like that. But I could be wrong. I don't know.
For the computer or for the
PS4.
Okay.
So I bought the Game of the Year edition of Shadow of Mordor because I'm behind the times. And
still a good game because I still have not beaten that game.
There you go. And I bought Assassin's Creed Syndicate finally.
How's that?
And I don't know. I haven't played it yet.
He hasn't played it. He's just bought them all.
And I bought Final Fantasy 15. Ooh. I have not played any of these 3 games yet, but I have them now. And they're waiting.
That sounds like dinging Chris every time he's here.
That's half the waiting.
Yeah.
That's half the game is getting the game.
Yeah. Chris is like, I've bought all these games and they're installed.
Well,
they're not installed.
It got worse for him. He never installed it because he would buy them, but his hard drive was always full, and he would always complain.
I know when he got that new when he got the hard drive once that update came out, he went and bought like a
big ass hard drive,
a terabyte or 2 terabyte hard drive, and just started installing everything.
I wonder what his data bill was like.
I don't know.
Those games are not small.
I don't know. They're upgrading my internet soon. Not to the optic stuff yet, but they called my house the other day and they're like, "We see you're paying this much for internet," and I'm like, "Yes." And they're like, "Well, all of our prices are going down, so you can either keep the same internet for a lower price or pay $3 less than you are now and double everything." And I'm like, "Come on down."
Yeah.
Like double all my stuff. It's in my budget, so let's go. So I get a terabyte of.
Holy crap!
Of data.
I might try and call him up on that.
Yeah. So I get a terabyte now, and if you pay $15 extra a month, it's unlimited.
I know. I keep flirting with that, but
I flirted with it the other day because I got a thing going. We've used 95% of our data, and I'm like, and switch. And that's when they called me, and I'm like, yes. Well,
speaking of Switch, I got ARMS for the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a fun little fighting game. Yeah. It's kept my attention in this, not so much game drought, but just.
I honestly think it's a refined Wii boxing. Because Wii boxing, you pretty much.
And you leave it up to Nintendo to switch up a very basic fighting or a basic game element to something wildly different.
Yeah.
Like
it's
Splatoon.
very refined. Yes, Splatoon's good too. So yes, you've bought all these games.
I've bought them all. I have not played them. I think I got about 20 minutes further into Fallout 4 from where I was about a month ago.
Yep.
Cool.
So I'm not very far in that.
Progress, though.
But I have some games.
Yeah.
The story.
I've been too busy with the kittens for games. I got some kittens.
Kittens
they're taking up all my free time.
That's what happens.
But they're super adorable.
Yes. I appreciate them while they're now super adorable, because they're just gonna get super annoying in about 6 months.
Yeah, one of them keeps deciding that every time I go down the stairs, it's going to run right in front of me, and then I have to like zigzag down the stairs dodging this kitten.
That's never gonna leave.
That's
that's standard. That's
so there's
standard
that. Well, that's fresh for me though. I've never had kittens before. So it's a new experience.
My kitten no longer licks me awake in the morning for food. I've seen this. This is great.
I'll show you this after if you've not seen it, Ross.
I think I've seen similar things, if
Yeah.
not this
The
exactly.
whole meal is pretty great.
Staring contest, bring you dead animals.
I like the one where it's like zipping out of a dark room. That was my favorite.
Yeah, foiled plot to
It's a failed ninja attack. Failed sneak attack.
failed sneak attacks. Either way, yes.
So yes.
Kittens are exciting.
Kittens are exciting. What else is exciting is the movie that all three of us have.
Well, before we go into that,
Oh, yeah. Anything else?
one thing that is new that I'm going to experiment with this afternoon.
Neat.
Yep.
Neat.
Board games. Marvel Legendary just came out with the XMen expansion. It's the biggest expansion to the game they've come out with so far.
I love those deck building games. They're so much
It's really
fun.
good.
They're so good.
And what Marvel Legendary's done really well with, in my opinion, for probably the last handful of expansions anyway. I don't know where it started, but the schemes have been getting really interesting.
How is the art on them now? Like, are they still really solid on most?
Oh
of
yeah,
them?
the art's still quite good. There's occasionally some characters where you're like, meh.
And you'll
don't care
always
about
get
the-
like you
like,
get that with comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for the most part, the art's good, and like
But yeah,
right
the
ever since Dark City, the first expansion, they moved away from the same art for every card, and now
good.
the different iterations of card have
good.
different art. It's only the original box set that has
I feel like
the
that's
same art.
I feel like that's fine though. As a base set, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm gonna try that out today. I'm excited for it. Brings in some new mechanics for the games. It's kind of getting to the point where I'm curious if they're going to keep making up new mechanics, because it almost seems like they're just trying to find something new. And it's like, well, you have so many mechanics in your games.
They have to keep
Just-
up with every other board game out there.
Just
deck building
stop
game.
making new mechanics and make new
Expand
ways
on
to
the stuff.
use them.
Yeah.
Or
Because that's what
new
they ran into with the
combinations.
versus cards that we used to
Yeah.
play a ton of. Was they're like, we don't know where to go anymore, so we're just done.
We'll add in a hidden section. I
Yeah.
don't know.
And then they were just like, and we're done. And you're going,
Pokemon actually has that. A lot of card games, Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon do that too, where they introduce game mechanics every 4 or 5 sets.
But this is like...
But the difference is with Pokemon or Magic, you have a rotation,
Yeah.
so mechanics will fall off the wayside. But with a board game like that, you can't just keep adding mechanics on all the time, right? Because people are always going to have that base.
Well, and it's not even like a new mechanic every 3 or 4 expansions. It's every expansion has like minimum 2 new mechanics to it. So you get 4 expansions
And that
down the
gets
line,
busy.
and you're looking at like 10
Is there
different mechanics.
Is it possible to play without those mechanics in the expansion?
No.
Okay, so
No.
it's ingrained
It's-
in the expansion.
It's ingrained in the expansion. The
So you can
characters
just play the base
play
game.
with those. You can avoid it by just not playing those characters.
That's fair.
but that kind of sucks too, because if
Yeah.
you're trying to draw people in and their favorite character is part of an expansion.
Yes.
One thing that does work out a little bit better is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of cross mechanics between the expansions.
Okay.
So like the Spdier-Man expansion came out with a mechanic called Feast, which doesn't appear on any cards outside of that expansion. So if you don't want to use the Feast mechanic,
Yeah.
just don't play as Carnage, don't use the villains that use Feast, and you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Same with Abomination came in with Arnim Zola and Zola's Creations in the Captain America 75th Anniversary expansion. New mechanic, if you don't use that villain set and that mastermind, you won't come up against it.
Right.
So, depending on how many different sets you're grabbing villains and heroes and masterminds and schemes and everything else from, you might only be actually dealing with 5 or 6 different specific mechanics
As opposed
in
to
your
20.
game, as opposed to like
Yeah.
20 or 30 that are
Right.
available.
Yeah, because that could really bog the gameplay down
Yes.
real
As
fast.
you, every time someone plays something, what do we have to do?
What's that
now?
one?
Yeah, it's
Read
like-
it through.
Yeah.
Hold on, go back to the rule book again. I forgot.
And I mean, the start of all those games I always find is kind of slow because you're trying to like, okay, how does this card affect?
Yeah. And you're essentially building your deck.
Once you're half hour into those games, though, it's like I play this, so that does that, and that does that, and that does that, and we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, move on. Next step. Next.
Yeah.
Next
But yeah,
turn.
with 30 steps involved, every time would be like a checklist, like good. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yes, I actually. Like
I'm glad they're still expanding that game, though.
Yes. I really hope that they kind of limit what they do with the X-Men now, because, like, I love the X-Men, don't get me wrong, but there are so many X-Men characters in that game. There's only a small handful that I wish were there. Like, they, as far as I know, they still don't have Scarlet Witch or Quicksilver for some reason. I don't know why.
That's weird.
It is weird.
Considering how big they've, like, gotten in the movies.
Exactly. And the fact that they've been there, like, pretty much since the beginning
They
for
really
the comics
have.
as well. I think it was like X-Men number 2 or 3 or something like that, where they were introduced. Like, they've been there since the start. So there are still some characters that I feel like they're missing out on, but as far as masterminds go, they've hit the big ones. They have Onslaught now. They have Dark Phoenix now.
Nice.
Yes.
They have Shadow King now.
Did Dark Phoenix come in the X-Men expansion?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all three of those are new to the X-Men expansion. Another cool thing is that there are 6 masterminds in the X-Men expansion, and they have 2 versions of themselves. So there's the regular mastermind, and I haven't played them yet, but Dark Phoenix and Onslaught already look terrifying. And then there's an epic version to make it even harder.
Nice.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
those ones are supposed to be like borderline unstoppable, so I'm probably just going to have to play Guardians of the Galaxy and use shards to do the best I can. But they've kind of hit most of the points that I need them to hit for the X-Men, and I want them to branch off into some other stuff. I want them to go back into the cosmic
I was
stuff.
going to say cosmic.
Like,
even Mystic.
bring in Adam Warlock and maybe bring in a Nihilus.
Yep.
You know, those would be a couple of Adam Magus as
See, I don't
a
know
villain.
what villains they've already introduced into the legendary stuff. So
There's a lot of them, but not very many cosmic. They've got, as far as cosmic stuff goes, they've got Galactus, they've got Supreme Intelligence, and they have Thanos, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, and there's a lot more to touch on the cosmic stuff.
Yeah, and a lot more heroes too. Like, there's a whole bunch of Guardians that you can touch on. You
Oh,
can
for sure.
You can do the Marvel version of Captain Marvel. You can do Quasar.
Do they have Agent Venom yet? Because even that, bringing him in would be...
They have Agent Venom. They have
that would be
him.
more in line with Guardians, wouldn't that?
That's cosmic.
They have Agent Venom in the Secret Wars Volume 2, which is the only expansion I refuse to get because there's like 3 characters I care about.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them's Beast, and he was like the Avengers version of Beast. They added the X-Men version of Beast into the X-Men expansion, so I don't even need it for that. I'm pretty much only missing out on Agent Venom, and it's like,
You can't buy that card online. Those cards online.
might be able to. I don't know. I haven't looked.
I don't know someone would be willing to buy a pack or buy a box of those expansions and break it up.
I'd be shocked if they would.
Yeah, that'd be weird. That's
Especially since it's like everyone wants Agent Venom and the rest of your box is garbage.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting way to actually sell those expansions, though, if you really, like, charge a little bit more of a premium, but only sell, like...
It's like a pack.
Yeah.
The character. Like, that'd be good for
It's
the
like a
company itself.
It's like a 10 card pack or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
I feel like
if I could buy Agent Venom for like $5 to $10 just as a 1-character expansion, I'd probably do it.
That was my thought process. Charge $10 per character, or charge
how much are those
for the
expansions?
expansion.
Well, the big box expansions, I think they're somewhere in the neighborhood of like $50-$60 each.
Yeah.
So, you know, like the X-Men one, 15 heroes plus all the villains and masterminds, even at just $10 a hero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's $150 potentially.
And that's the premium you're paying for buying
And they can learn
single.
And they can
Exactly.
learn from like EA where they like to overcharge for DLC. That's
Sure.
it's no different.
Yeah. Or again, like, because I'm sitting there going, if I'm buying single, I know they have to do different packaging and obviously change up this and do that.
Yes.
Like, there's extra work involved.
What
So-
they do need to do is come up with a better box situation.
Running out of space, are we?
The main box that the core game comes in now has enough space for my heroes.
Yep.
And I don't have 2 of the big box expansions.
Oh.
So
There's one of those big box expansions I still want. I don't have the Civil War one. I want to get that.
Yep.
I don't know if I'll have enough room for all my heroes.
Uh-oh.
So they need to pull like a Red Dragon in sort of thing.
Yeah, and even Sentinels of the Multiverse is doing that. Like, they're still... They're kind of at the end of their process
They
with
could have a bigger, blacker box
Oblivion
or something like that just to hold, like, a custom-built box just for the stuff.
Well, yeah, like, you need to cart around a whole pile of boxes now. I've got the main box that I use for my heroes, and I've got the XMen expansion box that I use for everything else.
Yeah.
And once I get the Civil War expansion, I'll probably need to hang on to that box.
Yeah. Just start getting like foam core and building your own boxes on the inside. With like, I know, because that becomes a giant pain in the butt for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the big box expansions do actually come with foam blocks in it.
Nice.
Yes.
So if you want to
uh,
use that and just separate things and fill up space,
Yeah, because
they
the
provide
bigger,
you.
blacker box does that. It came with like 5 or 6 foam.
Yeah.
Sure.
Foam.
I just see people like, especially now the Switch coming out, people are building their own like carrying cases essentially. So they're getting all the foam and cutting it to like fit everything. So on the outside they've got the thin layer, and then they're
Might be more difficult with a card game, though.
It would be like that's the pain in the ass. Is hopefully they'd come up with, because Red Dragon Inn did it.
Yeah,
bought the
Red Dragon Inn did it. Sentinels of the Multiverse are taking it to the next step, where theirs actually has like drawers and things, and they're.
You can put counters and stuff.
I know that the original plan was there's like a top flap on the lid, and when you open up the flap, it's supposed to have like the complexity ratings for the different heroes and villains, and like all of that's available with the sets that you get. But this is going to be all of it in one chart kind of thing. I think that they've since determined they can't do that on the lid. But they're gonna have like a separate pamphlet. But yeah, they've got like room for all your rules books, and they're having drawers designed for everything, and they've actually gone through a pretty intricate testing process to make sure the box is gonna work.
And that's the biggest piece too, is obviously you're gonna cart this thing around. You don't need an opening in the back of your car.
Yeah, it should be durable and that it's easy enough to carry. Like that bigger black box is barely comfortable to carry around.
It's not that bad.
It's not bad. But like it's awkward to hold a giant.
Yeah, the big
long
that
box.
would be better if it was shorter and wider.
Yeah.
Which I think the newer version 2.0 of the Cards Against Humanity box, it's shorter. It's smaller. I think it's like this big, but a little bit taller.
Well, it fits better on your game shelf and matches the rest of the games if it's shorter but just wider. Have two or
We'll have to do a
two or
Day
three
of
rows of
Legendary
cards.
stuff because you have the setup.
I still do.
He has a tabletop rig.
The camera points downwards.
Oh,
I built it.
nice.
PVC pipes and
I
stuff.
primarily use it for Pokemon.
But it works like
it works for any tabletop.
Yeah.
Though.
If it goes on the tabletop, it works.
Yes, that's the point of the building the setup.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to do that one.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that expansion.
Excellent.
We can do that. I'd be totally done with that.
So staying on the Marvel bandwagon.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we do anything, Spider-Man: Homecoming came out. We have all seen it. So before we get into spoiler territory, which is where I think we're going to dive deep into,
Yes.
did we enjoy the movie and should people see it?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure yes.
After that, folks, guess
bit.
what?
Spoilers.
Spoilers.
Expanding on that, I certainly don't think it's the best Marvel movie to come out.
No.
However,
No. I think it's a good.
I really like that they didn't do an origin story.
That was the
and
big
it
piece.
does not suffer from the same problem that Doctor Strange did, because let's face it, Marvel origin story movies are getting pretty formulaic, and they avoided that problem.
Yeah,
with
because
this
Doctor
one.
Strange, you could totally replace most of that with Iron Man's story.
It was Iron Man's
So
story.
most of that Doctor Strange was Iron Man's story.
And again, as me knowing that there's, Doctor Strange is obviously going to have more movies, and he's going to appear in Infinity War, and like all this stuff is coming. I sit there looking at the origin as like, okay, part one, we get this out of the way. I'm going to get a much better Doctor Strange story
And
later.
it was still a good movie.
And
it just wasn't like exceptional by any
And the thing
means.
with Doctor Strange, it's still in the audience's eyes, it's still a very unknown character. Whereas Spider-Man, Everybody knows.
We get it.
Bit by spider. Spider powers. Shoots webs. Climbs on walls. That's done. Yeah. Next.
This is the sixth Spider-Man movie since that first Bryan Singer X-Men movie really kicked off the superhero renaissance.
Movies, yeah. Oh, those old X-Men movies.
Those are actually not bad.
Actually, the old Spider-Man movies, going back to watch, are pretty tough.
Yes,
the CGI in that is
CGI has come a long way.
It has really come a long way.
Well, not just CGI, but green screens and backgrounds too. Like,
sure, you watch even the first Avengers movie.
Like some of those backgrounds are real bad.
Yeah.
Like the scene with Loki and Thor on that cliff top. It's like
but I just look at Industrial Light and Magic now with every movie they keep doing where they make someone young in every single movie. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, it's research and development. They're essentially just like, if we put $100,000 in every movie for them to like get that much better at making someone look younger, by the time they're done, they won't even need actors anymore.
It's true.
And if they play their cards right, they'll get them all just to record voices.
Did Industrial Light and Magic do Paul Walker? Or was it a different company who did Paul Walker?
I don't know who did Paul Walker.
Because I watched the making of of that recently, of how they did Paul Walker in Fast 7.
Yep.
Was it Fast 7?
Yep.
Whatever. But yeah, watching his brothers take that role on, like literally just them putting the digital face of Paul Walker on, and using the old footage as well from all his other movies. That was just crazy watching that. But I was thinking of if Disney helped them out with that.
But yeah, Disney Marvel's just getting so good at that.
Well, I mean,
I don't think they really did it in Homecoming though. They
didn't play that game at all.
No, they didn't need to.
But again, Iron Man is never actually like Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. is never in that actual costume anymore. So the fact that they've gotten to that point where they're just like superimposed costume.
I'm interested to see how that tech works for his spider suit though. Like there's clear points where it can't be CG. So I want to see how like that vacuum seals onto his body. Like what is there like a tube behind?
Trick.
There's like a tube behind him that like sucks him in or something.
CG, you just replace him.
I'd like to see it still.
But yeah, either way, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
So yes, no origin story.
Yes.
Which I would have liked a little bit more for with Vulture.
A little bit more. Like I like that opening.
Yeah, that was a good set piece opening.
Where they show obviously damage control coming in.
Yeah.
Repairing after the first Avengers.
And yeah, there's this stuff going on after Avengers 1, so we find out where he gets his tech from at least.
My biggest problem, which we discussed before the show, is just that he keeps saying why he's doing this and that he's doing it for his family, but they never like go into whether he's got like a sick kid at home or anything like that. They don't really like they don't humanize. As he said, they kind
don't
of
humanize him.
At that very beginning when he's like, I put all my money into this, I bought trucks and stuff. They did that, but after that, it's 8 years later, and they just he just keeps saying, I'm doing it for my family, and you're like, I've never seen your family. I don't know what family situation you're in, and I kind of don't care.
Now, and obviously, we're in spoiler territory now, but
you hit the thing a while ago, right?
Oh yeah, it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm just last kind of warning before we really get into it. Obviously, the reveal of who his family is, they kind of have to keep it tight knit. But even if he sits there going like, "Oh, I have to put my daughter through school, and I have to do this, and I have to do that,"
they could have just done a little more.
When you find out who he is, you're sitting there going, "You're not hurting."
No.
Like, you've seen his house.
Yeah.
He's driving a freaking Jaguar.
Yeah.
They've got a massive mansion.
Yeah, like they've got a fairly large house that's made completely of glass. Like, you're sitting there going,
They have enough to get Flash to do DJ stuff.
I'm assuming that's Flash's DJ equipment.
And
probably.
Yeah.
He's a dick.
That's the point. He's a rich asshole who has all of that stuff.
I do
and obviously promotes it every chance he gets.
Yeah.
I like the ending of the movie in terms of where the villains are, or the Vulture is.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, that was great.
Because it's like, it breaks the Marvel villain curse.
I know.
It breaks the Marvel villain curse.
He starts flying away, and I'm like, shit, they're gonna kill off Vulture. Like, and he was a really I thought he was a pretty good villain.
I liked him.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh, they're gonna kill off another stupid. And then all of a sudden he rushes into the fire, drags him out, and he's still breathing. And I'm like, they kept him alive.
Yeah, like I can't count on how many times I've seen a Marvel villain just.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of them, like Red Skull, can still come back.
Yes, Red Skull's a
Loki obviously never goes away.
Yes, yeah. Until his contract's up.
I have a feeling that Tom Hiddleston has way too much fun with that.
He'll resign. He'll resign it. But like Ultron,
he can come back.
Yes, Ultron
He's a
can't.
robot.
In theory, he can come back, but for intended purpose, they killed him off. In Doctor Strange, who's Malthus,
He can come back.
Yes,
because Dormammu sucked him up.
Yes.
Well, and the big thing for that one as well is that
they didn't even do Mandarin
let's be
properly.
honest. Dormammu was the big villain in there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they've got Dormammu playing the Thanos role. He's the overarching villain. He's the one that you can keep coming back to. And who cares about Hannibal Goth?
Whatever. Yeah, I know.
Hannibal Goth.
Nobody really cares about Mads Mikkelsen's character.
I know,
in
everybody
that.
was like, he wasn't that great a character, and I'm like, but he wasn't. He was a henchman.
Yeah,
He was an overglorified henchman to the giant talking head in the sky.
It's got Dormammu, who they use perfectly. They don't really bring him in too much. You can build off of him later.
He's better than a cloud.
You already know that he doesn't like Doc Strange anymore.
Why wonder why?
I know. And then they build up the character of Baron Mordo perfectly. I'm so much more excited for Doc Strange 2 with the build up of Baron Mordo and seeing what he does.
It gives him a reason to be that
Yes.
character rather than just douche
I'm
in the comics.
I really like seeing villains that are well written.
Yes, and
And
that's the biggest thing with Marvel is it's like a lot of them. If you do look at just Hannibal, whatever is that character is, yes, he's written off very easily.
He's a disposable villain,
Yes.
whereas Baron Mordo is he's gonna hit that level of Loki. He's gonna be the villain that's actually gonna make a difference.
Well, look at Yellowjacket from Ant-Man. Again, another villain that they wrote off kind of lackluster. They could have done his character a little bit better.
I feel like Ant-Man and the Wasp will be a better contained. Like Edgar Wright, obviously taking the movie from him and trying to adapt and that kind of stuff. I think hurt Ant-Man a little bit, and they had to. And again, it's the generic origin thing.
Yeah.
Where I think Ant-Man and Wasp will be like.
But yeah, like the reveal of having Adrian Toomes at the end, sort of getting involved in another group, kind of gets me really excited.
Well, and the fact that they use Scorpion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't. And I mean, he's got the tattoo. But other than that, unless you know his name,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, it's just Thug.
Well, and they crammed, I guess, at least 5 villains into this movie because I didn't realize the Prowler reference.
Yep.
Yes.
But they crammed 5 villains into this
Tinkerer
movie.
was in as well.
Yeah, that's one of the 5 that I noticed as well.
I thought he was delightful.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
He made me.
He was wonderful.
They did it so perfectly. You've got the other Spider-Man movies and most of these movies in general where you have multiple villains and you need to come up with this backstory for every villain and why they're all doing what they're doing. And really in this one, they did that with Vulture. Everyone else was just there. And it worked perfectly. They populated
It was very
the
natural.
movie
It felt very natural.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of how those villains were.
They populated the movie with
They were
known
reasons.
characters if you're familiar with the origin content.
But they're not bogging it
but
down with.
yeah. There's still only a few main characters that you're actually following.
Yeah. So even like Shocker, which I thought was hilarious, like he blasts him, the first Shocker, away.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you're a Shocker now, and you're just like, okay, cool. And I mean, he's got the sleeves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're like, good callback.
Yeah.
But the Shocker in the end is very.
But in the comics, the Shocker's pretty low key, anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a very low key,
And especially going off,
forgettable villain.
Especially going off the Ultimate comics, Herman Schultz is a gimmick.
Yes,
They'll open a comic with him getting
He's a thug.
trapped by Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a henchman thug.
He is like the Turk of Spider-Man.
Yeah. So we left that, and it's like, well, he only had one fist.
Well, I mean,
And I'm like, well, yeah, but if you actually listen while they're talking, that fist came from Lagos, which was where Crossbones died, which is essentially where they're thinking the fist came from. Because when they were fighting one of the fists, they got dismantled or whatever, but if the Tinker got his hands on one of them...
And he probably souped it up with alien tech.
Right. Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. The Tinker was perfect, because it's he's just there, and then he's answering the phone, and it's like, I'm naturally curious.
And you only know if you're familiar with the fact that his name is Phineas Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he's just some dude working on... it actually took me about 2/3 of the movie to
me too.
realize that he's the Tinker. I kept going this has to be a guy, and the name Mason's familiar.
And they're committing a lot of screen time to this one person.
Yeah.
Well, the best part is he's still out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can totally break them out.
But it's also a perfect role for him because he's a villain that nobody cares about.
Right.
But you can just throw him in there tinkering with things.
Yeah. Well, that's how we can get all these like, suits now, and obviously he knows Gargan, like as a business kind of thing. So when it comes to actually building a Scorpion suit, and people online were talking, and they're like, "Well, we're not actually going to get the Scorpion.
You're gonna get the Scorpion.
We're gonna get the Scorpion."
And I'm like, "Did you not see the Vulture?"
Yeah.
They did a good job with the Vulture.
I think they kill like
that's
the costume design for the Vulture was fantastic.
Even without the wings, I loved his little like get up suit.
Yeah, that was bomber jacket with the neck frill was such a perfect callback to the classic costume, but modernizing it.
Yeah, like it looked sharp, and his flight helmet looked real good too. Like
and even the flight helmet, if you look, it has like the triangles to kind of form like the beak look without sticking out like a. And then it gives them the HUD, which makes actual sense.
That sounded super. That's a good call.
Well, but no, that's how they do HUDs. It's perfect. They did it with Robert Downey Jr. That's how HUDs should look.
Yes.
And then same with once he gets the bigger flight suit at the end, and he's sitting on that billboard and just perching in the wing. I'm just like.
That's basically Vulture, guys.
Yeah, that's it. He's got Vulture wings. I don't know what the problem is.
And there's still a little bit of green in the eyes. You don't have to have a full suit of green.
Well, but even the wings were green tinted. Like everything.
It was green tinted, but it wasn't like as a deep green from the original comics. Like it's
whatever.
Yeah,
he's
trying to be stealthy about it. Is a big
but it was still green. Like it's not like you're going away from Vulture.
Yeah, he still had the green pants. He had the green wings.
Yep.
He had the brown jacket. Whatever.
That jacket is so sick.
I want that jacket.
A little bit.
Yeah, his costume killed it. And I mean, Michael Keaton did that.
Also, Michael Keaton's a great Birdman.
I still haven't seen Birdman.
I've only seen part of it, and I started watching it, and I'm like, I'm too tired for this kind of movie. Because it's a very, like,
it's surreal.
Conceptual. So I started watching it, and I'm like, tonight is not a good night for this. Because I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to stay awake, because it's interesting enough, but I'm going to be really confused by the end of it.
Yes, it's a very surreal trip movie.
Yeah, so we got Tinkerer.
Yeah.
We got Vulture.
Yeah, we got
Shocker. Scorpion, who I do want to see in.
So if you don't figure it out, they're building towards a Sinister Six lineup, basically.
Or whatever.
And watch them completely ignore that.
Drew Goddard's like, guy.
Yeah, but this is the right way to build to a Sinister Six.
So hopefully they get Drew Goddard back in.
They've got the
I feel like
they've got the access to the tech.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They've got the build up of the characters. Now they just have to
combine. They have a reason for the characters to be together.
Yeah. Well, and like Kevin Feige, like he said, the next movie is going to have one of the comic book villains we haven't seen on screen yet.
So if they bring in Scorpion, I still think that would count, even though we saw Matt Gargan on screen.
We haven't
seen Scorpion on screen.
And he also said that they're not sure what they're going to do with Scorpion yet. Yeah. They kind of just threw that in there, so we know he exists in that universe.
And I thought
among other characters that exist in that universe.
Because I mean, that was one of my big problems with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Was like Rhino appears, and I thought Rhino at the beginning, like having that character in, I'm like, that's perfect. Open the movie with him stopping a bad guy.
Yeah.
But then they just kept, like, bad guy. Then they have them walk down that hallway with all of the stuff, and you're going, really? Like, too much. This was that perfect where, if you're not listening...
It's subtle.
You don't actually know that that's Scorpion.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's enough bad guys in the MCU that have tattoos of stuff. The Scorpion tattoo means absolutely bupkis.
Right, but in the context of a Spider-Man movie...
I honestly didn't even notice the tattoo.
Yeah.
I just know the name.
That's the thing, is all of a sudden, like, people who know names will pick up on them going like,
Matt Gargan.
Yeah. And then Donald Glover's character,
yes.
If you listen right, it says they're shopping for stuff. He's like, I'm just, like, scoping something out. And then they say something about, like, electronic... scaling equipment or whatever.
Well, they even have his name in his alias in the computer in the movie too.
Yeah, it's all there. So he is the ultimate version of the Prowler, who when he mentions his nephew would be Miles Morales. So they've set it up that
they're ready for it, but they don't have to follow up with it.
Then they don't, which is lovely too. Like that's the thing. They set all this stuff up. And they don't have to do anything with it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a good. They can introduce Miles Morales if they want to. Yeah. Not that I think they should. It's still too early for that.
I think it will always be too early for that.
You just don't like Miles Morales, though, right?
That's because his writing into the comic book universe was absolutely horrendous.
But this is not the comic.
If they can do a completely different rework to his origin story, I'm down. But the fact that his origin story is he gets bitten by a genetically altered spider from Oscorp and proceeds to talk to someone who tells him that with great power comes great responsibility.
If it's not a carbon copy. Hey,
because that's what happens in the comics.
In the MCU's defense, that actually has not happened to the Tom Holland Spider-Man yet, so...
Yes, it has.
We just haven't seen it.
If you have the power to do something and you don't. They just reworked it. Because technically, he didn't actually get with great power comes great responsibility in 616. Yes. He got a big different speech that had that piece in it, but it was like an overarching speech by Uncle Ben. So...
I've never actually read the...
I saw it on Reddit the one time where someone was like, "We didn't get this line," and they're like, "That line's actually not the line.
There's more to."
It's one of those "I am your father," like Luke, "I am your father" type things.
And it's no, I am your father.
I am your father. Yeah.
It's subtle differences.
They've muddled it up over the years, and obviously the comics have just grasped onto with great power comes great because it's easier than shelling out an entire speech again by Uncle
Did you guys enjoy this Iron Spider suit
at the end?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got excited.
I got super excited for what's to come.
I also got excited about Gwyneth Paltrow at the end.
Yes. I think that they kept that one under really good lock and key.
Yeah, they did.
Really good lock and key.
Yeah, she showed up and everybody what?
Wait, what?
And that's the best part about going opening weekend is you get the actual fan reaction of people who know these movies.
Yes,
they're just like.
Yes, my significant other was like, "You need to calm down." I was like, "No, you don't understand what this actually means."
Yeah, she's back.
What do you mean? I'm like, "I'll tell you later."
Seen again, I've looked online. People are like, "Well, how is she back?" Because they were having problems. Blah, 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 blah,
they were having relationship problems.
And it's like, well, Tony signed the Accords, which I'm assuming now shows he's taking on responsibility for stuff. And that's the reason she left, was that he was just being a reckless...
making all the suits.
He was making the suits again. He was being reckless again. But by signing the Accords, he's showing that he's maturing
taking responsibility
for stuff. So she's all like, "Cool, we can be a couple again."
Right, and that seems like a perfectly...
In my brain, that's exactly she comes out and they kiss, and I'm like, okay, they're cool again.
Yes,
he has solved his, And after Civil War, losing Steve Rogers as a friend and all that stuff, he's clearly tried to, I'm assuming, connect with other people again.
Right, because Rhodey's not... He's only half a man right now.
He has bionic legs.
And Vision's great to talk to.
he has boundary issues.
He doesn't use walls.
He has issues with doors and walls.
Yeah, no, I would be incredibly surprised if he doesn't strap on that Iron Spider suit.
I'm assuming that'll be that's an Infinity War tease.
I'd assume so, yeah. Because if he's gonna get called up, he's gonna need to pull out the big guns for that.
Well, and people online again are going, "Well, he has a Stark Tech suit now. What is this one gonna do?" And it's like,
this one's
a billion things.
Yeah,
this is his Iron Man suit, effectively.
Also, his current suit is not bulletproof. He can still probably take a shot.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. His suit just has the AI essentially built into it with a couple extra gadgets.
It's better Siri.
Yeah.
It's better Siri that always wants to go into death kill mode.
Now, the fun fact I also read,
kill mode.
Jennifer Connelly, who does the voice
of
Karen.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Is the wife of whatever Bentley, who plays Vision, and did the voice of Jarvis.
Right.
They are married.
Oh.
Also played Betty Ross in the original
Paul Bettany, not Bentley.
Yes.
Paul Bettany. He's not a car. But yes, also was the Betty Ross in the original Hulk.
Yeah.
Super awkward.
The Eric Bana Hulk.
The Eric Bana Hulk.
Woo! We don't talk about that one.
Oh, Ang Lee's Hulk.
Yeah.
What an experiment. But yeah, I thought that was cute. Was they're actually married in real life, and
that's cool.
And yes, now she's his AI.
Yeah.
What does Jon Favreau do now? Is he still producing those movies or Marvel movies? Because obviously he's on.
We have the internet. We can find this out.
He's obviously still gonna do Happy now. Yeah. He's kind of cemented that.
I like how Happy keeps changing job titles.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of a private conversation. I don't want to talk about that.
Johan?
Whoops, that's why. I can't type today.
Johan. Yeah, I really like that.
How is Johan Favreau doing?
Delightful.
I love that.
I know he's directing a bunch of stuff. Producer.
Yes, he's an executive producer.
Yes.
For most things now.
He's an executive producer for
Avengers flicks.
Infinity War and whatever the post-Infinity War thing is gonna be.
Untitled Avengers movie.
Age of Ultron. Yeah, his last. So the Iron Man flicks and the Avengers movies.
Okay.
I liked the little nod of Peter Parker having really old tech with his camera phone being so low quality and like black bars, because that's the only thing he can afford as a camera phone. So he's kind of recording with a shitty camera.
I thought that was a good way to open that part too.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the Marvel Studios thing comes up with the classic music. And
Yeah.
we're just like,
A
and then
film
the film by
by
Peter
Peter
Parker.
Parker.
And it's
I was like, what?
Wait, what's going on with this?
And then we get him all excited.
Yes.
I was so confused at first. I didn't realize at first that it was like
tie-in?
pre-Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
And then like
I thought it was just a trip.
well, even when they were like, we're going to Berlin, I forgot that happened in
yeah.
Berlin, and I was like, what's happening? Why is Tony Stark
suit.
sending him to Berlin? And he's got a new suit, and I was like, okay, I guess he's got another new suit, whatever. And then they have the airport, and I was like, oh,
It's Iron Man and Captain America and War Machine and this
new
new guy.
This new guy?
Oh,
I gotta go.
Oh, that's my call. And I thought that actually set up the really good point of if they do the whole reporter thing with him later, where he does attach cameras to stuff. Like they had that right there where he's filming that part of the fight scene, and I'm like,
that's a really good nod to his future.
yeah. And if that's where they go with it, because obviously we don't. I think the Daily Bugle stuff's a little old-fashioned in this day and age.
Yeah.
Well,
Digital media being the way it is,
Well,
but if he becomes some kind of actual cameraman.
I like his. I like the Ultimates version of him being a web developer, though. That's pretty. That's
yeah, he went into web design and then he got fired from that because they didn't want him at the Daily Bugle anymore and this and that. Like the Daily Bugle's a tough thing to pull off, and I mean even in the new cartoon, it's a news station. Like it's CNN essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So and it'll be interesting because we didn't see Manhattan. That was the other piece.
Mm-hmm.
He actually stayed low to the ground like Tony told him to, and stayed in Queens.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the bits where he's trying to web around it where there's no buildings. Oh, and then when I thought
This sucks.
This sucks.
when I heard that
Sprinklers.
when I saw that, I was like, oh man, he better be counting how far that shoots for Ned.
I know, I thought that too because Ned mentions it, and it's just
How far
like,
did you shoot it?
But yeah, like the fact that he didn't actually, because he climbs the Washington Monument and Karen's going, well, like, what's the problem? You've reached the window, and he's like, I've never been this high, and you're going, wait,
That's
what?
not wrong.
Like, you're based in New York,
Yeah.
But
he's never
no.
pulled off. He's just been in Queens.
He's never gone up the Chrysler building
Yeah.
like he does all the time.
I know,
in the
that's what I'm
90s
sitting there
cartoon.
going, yeah, he's never, like, gone to talk to the gargoyles, and that, like, he's not at that point, and that's why he keeps losing knapsacks.
Yeah.
Because he keeps attaching them to stupid stuff that's low to the ground.
Yeah.
In my brain, I'm sitting there going, because he attaches it, and I'm like, up.
Mm-hmm.
Up.
Like, just on the roof.
Sure.
Like, no one's going to go on the roof.
5 backpacks later.
I need a new backpack.
I need a new
That's
backpack.
5. I also like all the people hitting on Aunt May.
Yeah, that's
They totally
pretty
play
great.
that
That's
piece
pretty
out.
great. I'm okay with
What you wearing? Something skimpy?
that. I want to see the outtakes for that. I want to see what didn't make it into the movie for that bit.
Oh, Tony Stark.
I also really like that they have Aunt May being younger because
yeah.
she's the perfect age to be his aunt.
That's exactly it. I'm okay with that.
I know
100%.
people again were like,
Like, if you think-
someone was like, I like the
do-
people
if-
online who I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about being actually attracted to Aunt May. And I'm like, but it makes sense. She's an aunt.
Yeah.
Think about you do the math between Peter's age, her age. Like
Sure.
she's not a grandma.
No, that never
Like,
quite.
then
And I
it's-
never thought about it in the long run.
Well, and it kind of makes more sense for the 90s cartoon because he is older in
Yes.
that, you know?
Yeah.
He's out of high school, he's got a job.
He's 15 in this movie.
Yeah, he's 15. He's like 20 years older in the cartoon we grew up with compared to where he is
And
now.
and at this point, I sit there looking at it, going, yeah, Aunt May being even the older sister
Mm-hmm.
is still at a reasonable age, whereas you know you start with Aunt May in even the Tobey Maguire movies where he is in high school at the beginning, and you still have like old Aunt May and old Uncle Ben, and you're going, how much older were like these siblings?
Yeah, like they're more great aunt age
Yeah.
than anything.
And maybe that's the
might
that's
be,
the,
yeah.
who
Plot
knows,
plot
but-
twist. It was great Aunt May in
Yeah.
the Sam
But I
Raimi
like-
movies.
But even in the 616 comics, she's always been an elderly woman who you've had to worry about her health and this and
Yeah.
that. This one's like Aunt May who can actually help.
Yeah.
Which I like the Ultimate series. She was still the graying Aunt May, but at that point, I mean, like gray hairs are not a sign of age, essentially. But she was
active.
She was a younger, more active Aunt May.
And that's why I'm really upset that Fox owns Fantastic Four and X-Men, because Ultimate Comics went like balls to the walls with like Spdier-Man and Friends, where the Human Torch and Iceman ended up living in this, like, in the Parker household because Aunt May was taking in all these wayward heroes. And I'm like, damn, we'll never have that on the big screen.
I'm kind of glad that we won't, because that would kind of seem weird. Like, it sounds
There's
perfect
a lot of
for a
stuff.
cartoon that would be terrible in film.
The other part that I would like to see on film is at least him interacting with the Human Torch.
Yes, that would be cool. Or Iceman.
Or Iceman. Just younger heroes that Peter Parker can actually interact with.
Yeah.
Because that's the problem, is everybody's old and he's like, this is amazing!
My biggest problem with Fox still having Fantastic Four is Doctor Doom.
I think that's
I want the Marvel Cinematic Universe to have Doctor Doom, because he's the only one I can personally think of.
Him and Liberia come with so much
that you can build up to actually be the next big thing after Thanos. Like, I can't realistically think of anyone that wouldn't feel... maybe Dormammu, but like most of everyone else would just feel like, well, they're just redoing Thanos. You know, you've got to find someone else on that scale. But Doctor Doom is that one character who's not on a cosmic scale, but builds himself up to that. He is the like European
he's kind of like
poor boy that builds himself up. He actually goes from like Spider-Man level all the way up to Thanos level instead of starting at Thanos.
And his
level.
resume can back it up too. I mean, he's genius level, isn't he?
Well, he teaches himself magic at one point, like himself.
So he's a technological genius and also a sorcerer.
And has wielded the Infinity Gauntlet at some points in time.
Yeah.
So it's like, why not? I feel like that's the perfect in for that character.
Yeah. No, I would like,
Doctor Doom is the one thing that we should get back, but will probably never happen.
You know what? I think that Fox will, at this point, never let go of X-Men. They've done too well with Deadpool, and Logan was also very good. They did well with that. So now they've kind of found that they've got something that works. And even with the current generation of X-Men movies, they're not great, but they're all right.
And every once in a while, you get one that, like,
that knocks it out of the park.
It knocks it close to the fence, at least.
Like, they do well enough that I don't think Fox is ever going to let go of those. Because even if they signed a deal with Marvel, they'd have to give up too much control.
Yeah.
And they'd have to give up too much of the money.
And I think there's there's a lot of decisions that Marvel would change.
Yeah. And that's where...
I mean, short of keeping Patrick Stewart and Hugh Jackman...
He's done anyway. They're both done.
Yeah, they wouldn't... There's no other characters that... They would rewrite all of the characters, basically.
Yeah, they'd completely rewrite it. Whereas,
Fantastic
Four, there's nothing really ingrained, and really, it would probably cost Fox more money to do another movie in 4 or 5 years, whatever their timeline is. I'm not entirely sure.
All they gotta do is say that
it would be to just let it go.
Well, they have to actually produce one.
Yeah.
They can't just say they're thinking. They actually have to do it.
Well, at least if they get started on it. I don't know what the timeline with the contract is how long they've used it. I don't know legal.
I don't know how many years before, but they do actually have to have a finished product come out, or they lose the rights.
And that's why we ended up getting back. I think... I don't know if Ghost Rider ran out of time or if it was getting close and they were just like...
I think Blade, too, came back.
Marvel has Blade now as well. Obviously Punisher.
Yeah.
Obviously Daredevil.
Seeing Blade and Ghost Rider, like Netflix series-wise, I think they would suit far better on that kind of...
Yes.
What I would... It'll never happen.
Yep.
But what I would love to see is some kind of a Netflix miniseries or something where the Punisher is out doing Punisher things and taking down bad guys, and he's on his motorcycle on the highway, and all of a sudden you see a flaming chain whip out and take his motorcycle out from under him, and then Ghost Rider comes up and like stares him right in the face and says not guilty or something because he's only taking down mafia goons and stuff. And then it just ends up being Punisher and Ghost Rider going through and
they have confirmed
wrecking the days of like mafia goons.
And they have confirmed that motorcycle Ghost Rider exists in the universe. Just
and they've also
Nicolas Cage.
They've also confirmed, not in the show, but in interviews, that yes, that is Johnny Blaze. They have actually stated that it's Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, not Danny Ketch.
I think I mentioned that. Yeah, like it's the original Ghost Rider.
As it
should with the chain.
But yeah, like, and even one of the guys I work with and I were talking, and he's like, even throwing like Moon Knight in and just going like balls to the wall stupid on Netflix with all of those darker characters, and I'm like, Marvel Knights on Netflix
is the best thing.
Done.
So
and he's
far,
like, what? Because he doesn't know he's sitting there going, well, just add them to the Defenders. And I'm like, no. Marvel Knights. Done.
Yeah.
Like, half of them are there.
Yeah.
How crazy would it be to see an East Coast Avengers? Or West Coast Avengers?
I don't actually know who the West Coast Avengers were.
Mockingjay, Hawkeye, and some other...
I don't know. When the Avengers all split up like that, I got
super
confused.
Super awkward.
And out. Like, that was too many Avengers teams.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts I'd like to see.
Yeah. I do legitimately think they're building towards that. I do legitimately think that Red Vial that they stole from that biohazardous safe in Lagos. Thank you.
Only because I just read the name the other day.
I do 100% think that is going to turn out to be Red Hulk serum.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's why General Ross wanted it.
And that's why he's so involved in that part of the... And plus the raft, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that it exists and we've seen one floor of it.
Mm-hmm.
What else is beneath it?
Abomination, whoever else they're holding that is a big bad guy.
Well, and I think that like you and I have talked about this just completely outside of everything, but what I think that they're going to end up doing is build towards General Thunderbolt's more non-superpowered and possibly more military background Thunderbolts. They can bring in Nuke, who they had in...
the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. they had Nuke, didn't they?
No, Jessica Jones they had Nuke.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
So they had Nuke they had Nuke and Jessica Jones, and then he was just taken away. Mm-hmm. He's still around. He has a military background. He's more of a super soldier type.
Yep.
They've got Punisher, who has been on a Thunderbolts team led by General Ross in the comics. Military background. They can go back to Abomination because Thunderbolt Ross captures him and does whatever with him. We don't know what at the end of Incredible Hulk. They can do Leader, who was in the same iteration of Thunderbolts as General Ross, as Red Hulk and Punisher that I'm talking about, because they just had them raid Sam Stern's home laboratory in Incredible Hulk, and you don't know what happens afterwards. They raid it, and that's it. So they can have him.
And then you have that 5 seconds of was it Mastermind? No, they set up another Hulk villain in the Incredible Hulk.
Oh, with the
I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's that super genius.
Yeah, Leader.
Oh, that's his name?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, there's so many things that they can set up for.
And, like,
Hulk's villains are actually kind of interesting.
Everybody has interesting villains. That's why I'm glad we got Spdier-Man back, because at least...
He has a lot of interesting villains.
He has... And intriguing, because they're thinkers. Like, you see that with the Vulture. He thinks through... And I mean, obviously, the want of wealth gets the better of him in this film. But he's still... mechanically engineered, like he thinks. He's not just brainless, punch until dead or whatever.
And he's a very big family guy as well. Like I mean, granted, again, he probably doesn't need to cover for his.
Well, we were saying that before. After making so much money, he could have gone back to being a legitimate businessman at any point there, and lived a good life.
Yes, not the world's best life, but
he wants.
He'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, like Spider-Man has really good villains, and again, Fantastic Four has
a few really good villains.
Yeah.
They've got
one real good villain.
No, Fantastic Four has a few like really good villains.
Galactus, Doctor Doom,
Skrulls.
A Nihilus would be a really good one.
Is Skrulls
Fantastic.
Then how did we get Kree then?
Because Kree is not as associated with Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
But I always thought the Kree was associated with the Skrulls in the
well, the
Secret
Kree
Wars.
Skrull War, but the Skrulls are more specifically associated with
Actually, being Fantastic Four
where,
villains.
whereas
is that it?
the Kree, I think, are more associated with the more Avengers group.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
could be wrong.
That was my understanding. Is I thought they were like entwined with the Secret Wars. That's why.
But Fox is obviously willing to make certain deals. Because that's how we got, like, Ego and that kind of stuff happening in...
random deals.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, we want to use Negasonic Teenage Warhead, but change her powers up, and they need Marvel's permission to do that kind of stuff. So it's like, there's some back and forth, at least, between Fox and Marvel, so we can
At least
always...
the
I guess
lawyers
as
are
long as they're not stepping on toes kind of thing.
Yeah, so we can always hope. And honestly, if Deadpool kind of arcs the way for the new XMen stuff,
I'm
down.
fine with that.
Sure.
Because he did, like, they did Colossus, right?
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And they're already filming Deadpool 2 inside the X-Mansion. Like, they're inside the mansion this
There's
time.
more people.
They're not just at the front door.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they only got money for like 2 X-Men.
So, I don't know. I would like the MCU to be whole again. And that's where I always laugh at DC is, like, you have your entire universe
irony.
built and you can't make a freaking film. Wonder Woman was good.
Yes, I still need to.
I haven't seen it.
See?
I probably won't for a while. And it has nothing to do with it honestly has everything to do with the character. As far as DC Comics goes,
Yep.
I only care about Batman, and that's like 70% because of his villains.
Uh-huh.
Like that's it. I grew up watching the Batman cartoons. The villains are interesting. That's all I care about. Anything else, like I read the Kevin Smith Green Arrow story arc, and that was good. I enjoyed that, probably mostly because it was Kevin Smith.
Probably. He's a hoot.
But outside of that, I don't care about any of them.
And if you look at Wonder Woman's like villains, a lot of it borderlines around Greek mythology, anyways.
Which honestly is more interesting to me than
like,
Superman still.
Well, and they keep ruining Superman villains with
Let's twist his
Zack
neck.
Snyder's, like,
Let's
let's just throw this guy in for shits and giggles.
Let's break his neck.
And yeah, the breaking of necks by Superman, which makes no sense. But
Mm-mm.
but this, like, the Wonder Woman movie, I thought was actually one of the parts that I really enjoyed was the villains, like the Axis villains, because it's World War One.
Okay.
So the Germans were very cartoony Germans.
Okay.
Like, they were comical bad guys, where, like, at one point they actually do the, like, and then, like, proceed to exit scene, and you're like, that was amazing. Like, the fact that they actually went to that length where they're like, we are so evil, we shall cackle outside of this room, and then, like, exit scene.
It's very like 1990s.
But it works, because it's fun, and that's what the DC universe, I think,
Missing.
is missing.
A lot of it's too dark and broody. We need to be more dark and broody. Meanwhile, the Wonder Woman director's like, no.
Well,
No.
Dark and Broody works when it's done by Christopher Nolan.
Sure.
Or Batman.
Well, and the best part was, I think Kevin Smith was interviewing Paul Dini, who wrote the Batman animated series and the Superman Batman series afterwards.
Yeah.
And they asked him to come on as a consultant for free on, like, the DC movies, live action movies, and it's like, no, you can pay me for my services, and I would be more than happy to, like, write you a decent script.
Yeah. Can you consult for free?
No.
No.
But hire the damn guy. He wrote the characters for how long and did a good job of it.
Know what I can do for free? Spend time with my family and do things I enjoy.
They don't charge me.
Yeah. Now, one thing the internet has had problems with Spdier-Man was the side characters. People are very split online.
I love Ned. Which character are they concerned about?
Everybody.
Oh.
They
Ned.
don't like Ned. They don't like Flash. They don't
Ned.
like Michelle. They
I-
don't like Liz.
I love
they
Ned.
don't like...
I love Ned.
I loved...
Liz was kind of one-dimensional, but
I think Liz was kind of meant to be one-dimensional, though.
yeah, that's fine. But Ned steals that movie completely
Yeah.
for me.
I like Ned. I thought Ned was good. 'cause-
Chair guy.
Chair guy.
Chair guy.
I
What
was-
are you doing in the library? The homecoming dances of
I
watching.
was looking at porn.
And that's literally the only answer you can give.
I know.
Without like getting into trouble, but getting to the right amount of trouble.
Yeah, like there's no other answer that he can give.
Like, everything else would be too suspicious.
Right.
Or...
This is too obvious. Oh,
Yeah.
I porn.
No.
Ned. Yes, Ned. The best.
Well, and people were mad because like you.
I know it's a mashup of like a bunch of characters.
It's Genki.
That's fine.
With a different name.
Whatever. Like it's their own take on it.
Because Genki's in the Ultimate Universe is Miles Morales' buddy.
Okay.
Who's exactly Ned.
Ned
Okay.
loves Lego.
Yeah.
A little bit bigger of a character.
Yeah. And knows his secret identity, tries to help him out,
Yeah.
does all
Yeah. That's fine.
but yeah.
And maybe Ned's short for Genki or something like that. Maybe
No, Ned's an actual character.
as-
He works at the Daily Bugle.
Oh no, I'm saying like this, like maybe Ned's short for his other real name or something like that. You never
I
know,
don't know.
right?
I think Ned's fine.
I don't
Just
know,
keep
and
his name.
I'm okay with that. But I'm okay with this character.
But Ned, I didn't mind. I thought he asked all the right questions because, in all honesty, if you knew Spider-Man, you'd also be asking, like,
Do
Yeah.
you spit venom?
like, wait, can you do this? I just thought of this.
Yeah.
Like,
Ned, come on.
and yes, he's super annoying and asking at the wrong times of day, but still.
Inappropriate.
And
You
I
don't
thought-
know Spider-Man?
Inappropriate.
And I know in that prayer was like, you're
He's
sitting in the
Spider-Man!
and it's like they're both like, oh my god, like she actually has a crush on Spider-Man. This is the great, and I'm like, that's cute.
Yes.
And then it's like, he knows him, and it's like, oh no,
That was that was when the perfect awkward like high school movie bit shows.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
I thought they handled the high school stuff fairly.
Oh, yes.
Me too.
Perfect. Perfectly.
Because that was again, where you're sitting there going, they're actually kids for one thing. Most of them are actually in their teens, filming all that stuff, and they act like. And again, it's a magnet school, so it's actually it's a technology school. It's meant for smart people. That's why people have a problem with Flash, because he's not the jock.
But he's still
A
like
dick.
the low one on the totem pole intelligence-wise.
Yes,
and he's
which they show
still-
off.
Yeah, and he's still rich and he's still a dink. So
Yeah. I know. As soon as he almost runs over Peter Parker,
yeah,
and then proceeds to call him Penis Parker, you're just like, you shall work.
yeah.
Yes, I'm okay with.
You are not a
celebrities.
physical threat like you used to be,
Mhm.
but you are still a dink that's going to, like, put Peter Parker in his place sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, keep him down.
Well, and because there's still like the awkward high school, sort of like status, status class system going
Yeah, 'cause
on.
you see-
He helps in that way. Like he's
Yep.
not a physical bully, but he's still very much an emotional bully.
He's a
Yeah.
nerd jock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
Well, no,
nerd.
he was. I thought he
You
was.
see him at the DJ as a DJ at the party.
Well, that's what I mean. His social status is, whereas Peter Parker's is still, and
And he
he
keeps
makes
him
sure
there,
that
yeah.
Peter knows it,
Yeah.
and it's just like, yeah.
All
As
is
he
well.
drives his Audi around and like borrows his
All
dad's
is well.
car.
All is well.
And then Michelle.
I'm okay with that.
I like Michelle.
I'm fine with MJ not being the redhead
Yeah.
because she's not Mary Jane. She's Michelle something.
Yeah.
Yes.
That solidified it for me. She's still feisty, so I'm still fine with a
Yeah.
feisty
And Kevin
MJ.
Feige has come on and said that we didn't say that she was going to be the same MJ or even the MJ. Like
Yeah.
they may have a relationship in the future, but that's not what we're intending.
Yeah.
It was literally just a nod to MJ.
But I like the fact that Peter actually, because I know people have had a problem with this with certain comics, is that Peter actually has friends, because he's supposed to be like the loner nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sit there looking at it going, that's not really a thing anymore. At least not in the overall arc of things. Maybe smaller towns with less populations and that kind of stuff, but in this day and age, you can usually find one other person
Yeah.
that shares a commonality with you in that sense of like, Genki or Ned with the
Yeah.
like it's like, come and help me build my Lego Death Star, and you're like, yeah, and the girls behind him are like, what?
Yeah.
Like they're still obviously in that nerd place, but there's more than one.
Yeah.
there should be.
There's a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there should be. So the fact that Peter's actually starting to surround himself with friends, which again puts him in that moral dilemma of what
honestly,
does he do?
in this day and age,
Right.
a lot of people are, it's not uncommon for kids to have nerdy friends.
Well, but again,
Well, and
Exhibit-
nerdy's kind of the new cool.
Yeah.
Hence why
Exhibit
like,
A.
yeah.
Marvel and Star Wars
We're
are
still
like
doing
the
it. Yeah.
two biggest franchises in movies right now.
As Disney just keeps like vacuuming up money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see how much Disney actually gets off of this. It's all Sony still, right?
This is Sony making all the money off this movie.
Yeah, so it's still, at the end of the day, it's still a Sony taking in money. So
And that's why I'm hoping this movie does really well, so Sony just goes, oh,
Yeah.
We've made double of what we've made in the last, like,
And
2 movies combined.
And a Spider-Man movie that people are actually talking about?
Yeah, in a good way. Well, because that's the thing, looking at flaws, there's flaws.
Yes.
Like, it's not the perfect film.
They all have flaws.
But I thought Tom Holland was a really good Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they showed the dilemma of him, like, he's quit band, he's quit this, he's
juggling the social life along with being Spider-Man.
Well, but in this movie it showed that he's like, I don't care about Peter Parker anymore. I just got to be Spidey.
Because Spider-Man's an Avenger now.
Because Spider-Man's an Avenger. Like, he let that get to him.
Yeah.
And you see that it affects his actual Peter Parker life. And they played that so well. And I'm just like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's even sitting there skipping a Spanish test.
Mm-hmm.
Because
he
won't even be there in another, 2 months when they move him upstate.
Mm-hmm.
If he was even going to move moved upstate.
At that point, he was not going to be moved upstate.
No.
But although it was nice to see that Tony Stark was obviously keeping an eye on him.
Yes, the churro.
Because he knew about the churro lady and that kind of, like...
That was nice.
It's nice to have... Again, we kind of talked about that in the newscast.
Yeah.
It's nice to have Robert Downey Jr. in that role of support.
Yeah, because it's nice to see lower-level individuals like Spider-Man do his own thing.
Well, and the piece is like, at some point, Spider-Man gets significantly stronger and better at what he does and all those things. But seeing him screw up as much as he does...
Because he's still within... I think, because he got his powers in Civil War 6 months or 3 months? In Civil War.
6 months.
6 months. So he's still within a year of getting his powers.
8 months.
So...
Ish.
Ish. So it's less than a year, and he's still kind of learning what he can and can't do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, again, he hasn't climbed buildings. The Washington Monument's the highest he's ever gone, and he's like flipping out as he's up there.
And even look at the without the training wheels protocol. He's like, what's going on with these things? What's insta-kill? I don't want insta-kill.
What did you think about the tech suit? Like giving Spidey that kind of tech right off the bat.
I had no problems with it because they didn't utilize all that tech. He still didn't know how it all worked.
Yeah.
And even Karen was kind of surprised.
Let's face it. The suit was built by Iron Man. I'm a little surprised that there was an insta-kill feature. that one kind of threw me off because, like, even Iron Man doesn't quite go there anymore. Like, he's still got guns and like he does, but
it's for self-defense.
But it doesn't look like he has laser eyes that are just going to instantly
goes red,
bake through someone's face.
He's got a HAL 3000 going on.
There's still a military aspect to.
I feel like the military
Iron Man's
aspect part was like the insta-kill piece was. Like, if Ultron drones come back sort of thing, you can turn that on and just go apeshit.
Yeah, because they turned off all of the protocols, right? So
he had nothing. He had the suit and the web shooters and, like, the track, like, the basic Spidey stuff that he's always had. And then all of a sudden, he upgrades. And I know, again, like, I was like, this is awesome because this fits with Peter.
Well, and I liked the different kind of, like, web shooter variations that it had because it plays off of all the things he does with the webs in the source material, but it also gives it like just enough of a technological reasoning for it where it's like, why does he just shoot 2 webs at once or something? Like,
I also enjoyed the nod to like the old 60s cartoon instead of like the web parachute, how he actually has a parachute like built into the costume. Although it didn't work out all that well, but
it worked out perfectly. He got out of Vulture's clutches.
It worked great for Vulture too for a second there.
It did also work great when they almost drowned him.
Good plot device.
Well, then you get Tony Stark saving him remotely.
Tony Stark. Not actually there.
Well, it's big enough. You obviously came here. Skunk.
Yeah.
You're lucky you have Wi-Fi here.
Yeah, I know you'd be dead. But yeah, like I thought the tech part was kind of cool.
It was a good take on it all,
and the fact that they he got used to it as.
And exactly, and you were saying like, what do you expect? It's a Tony Stark built thing, like with.
It's gonna have the tech in it.
Yeah, like with Peter Parker's old suit. Obviously, the only good tech in that was the eye thing with his old costume, the retro.
And
costume.
I love the eye movement. Like
still great, still wonderful to see.
Like when they added that in Civil War, I'm like,
you can buy that as a mug in the Disney store. Hey, it's like a Spider-Man head, but the heat makes the eyes go up and down.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Because I thought that in Civil War they showed the trailer, and all of a sudden he lands, and his eyes like shift a little, and you're like, oh my god, his eyes move.
That's the weirdest. I didn't think I needed that, but now I want it forever.
I knew I needed it. As soon as Deadpool did it, I'm like, see, it works.
Yeah.
Because not once in Deadpool did I go, his mask is moving and it's blinking, and this is just stupid. I'm going, that's what it, like, Deadpool has to.
Yeah.
Spider-Man has to.
Especially when you have
the facial expressions to really convey the character.
Especially with, like, a masked character.
Yeah. Well, and a sarcastic masked character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, Tony Stark can put off comments, and you know it's... Like, half the time they show his face when he makes those comments.
Yep.
And the other half is, Tony Stark's an ass.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man's not supposed to be an ass. He's just supposed to be quippy. And the quips, when his eyes are always this big, don't work, and he just comes off as an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if he does, like, a subtle, like, facial movement... You get it.
How do you like the half mask stuff that they did?
It's exactly what they should.
Perfect. Like, it would look
I'm sitting out in public. I'm only going to show half of my face.
It's picture perfect, picture accurate from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good.
No, that costume was slick.
Costume was everything about that movie is excellent.
So, Droney.
Yeah.
I've had that in me this whole time. Awesome.
Has that been there the whole time? And then Karen. You still haven't, like, replaced your parachute. A fall from this height will definitely kill you.
Thanks, Siri.
The wings?
Mm-hmm. I like the wings.
I like the wings. And it's a good callback to, like, the old costume. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Whereas, and then it's like, what else can this costume do? Cool!
How long have we been here? 38 minutes. What? What?
But the ricochet bullets, the taser web, or like all the webbing.
Tons of that stuff.
And the fact that, you get a small montage.
Just a touch.
That pays off with the boat.
Mm-hmm.
When he's, like, trying to web all the stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was killer.
Mm-hmm. You're 98% successful. What do you mean?
Oh, Karen. And then him recording himself, like, or the suit recording.
I am
Thor, son of Odin.
Just keep going. You were recording this whole time? Yes, it was the Big Brother protocol.
No, the babysitter, or the baby monitor program.
Baby monitor.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Of course it is. Yeah. Oh, man.
Oh, Tony Stark.
But yeah, I thought I'm happy. I'm happy he's back in the MCU.
Yes.
Because, those little connections always count for something. Now, the Avengers Tower is for sale. Someone clearly bought it. Someone rich. I'm going with Oscorp.
I was going to say someone fantastic, but...
That's the other
one that they could leave that open with.
That's the other one that people are, like...
Yeah.
In theory, the Oscorp Tower should already exist. It shouldn't need to be bought.
Unless he's a power plant, or he's, like, something small, like he's a plant, a chemical plant that's moving its way into, like...
Into a giant building in the middle of New York City. Honestly, it would be more realistic if they got Fantastic Four into that building, more so than anything.
And see, for Oscorp, I just feel like you've already got the landing pad all built up. Mm-hmm. Like, it's set up so well for, evil dude on a glider to pretty much, like, inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
So, plus he just changed the... And then someone's like, I thought at the end, like, the post-credit scene, this was online, that, like, the A, just the way it's written, part of it would go out, and you'd get a 4. And that would be the big reveal, and it's like, man.
If that happened,
everyone would.
That would have been the best kept secret, not Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. I know, like so everybody's like, maybe that's what they're waiting for, or maybe that's like the Infinity War, like you finish Infinity War Part 1, and they're all getting their like asses kicked, and we go into like Part 2 or whatever, and that's when it's like Tony calls for help, and that's the post-credit scene is like Tony hits a button. And you get, like, a radar going off, and it shows the Avengers Tower, and it's got a big 4 on it now, and, like, a bunch of idiots race to a car that starts flying. And it's like...
Mostly that. Yes.
And it's like...
That's Ford branded.
Damn. But I don't think I'd want the, like, Fantastic Four introduced that way.
Avengers, Infinity War, Fantastic Four.
I wouldn't necessarily want them introduced that way. I'd want a little bit more build-up.
Yeah.
But...
they are the first group, though, right? So
I think if they were to introduce the Fantastic Four in the Infinity War movies and actually showcase, look, Marvel has it back now.
Yeah.
Because Fox just keeps losing money by
hemorrhaging money
them.
By casting and recasting and rebooting
and making it terrible still. Like continuously worse too.
See, and that I said
progressively.
I think I said it last week. At least like the Chris Evans Fantastic Fours, they were bright, they were fun, but they went too far overboard.
Yeah.
Whereas Fanforstic went like the complete opposite, where they sucked everything out of Fantastic Four that actually makes it Fantastic Four, other than their powers.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's a Fantastic Four movie. And I'm like, you got rid of the Baxter building pretty much. Like at the end, they move into a remote like they don't.
I don't remember the end. I fell asleep partway through.
I had to start live tweeting it to stay awake.
They got rid of the cool parts of everything of Doom. Like
they got rid of Doom. That was not Doom.
Well,
they basically did.
Let's be honest. No one's done the cool parts of Doom because no one has actually introduced the fact that he's also a wizard.
Well, and now with Doctor Strange, like that's where I sit there with all of these movies.
They can.
You can like you can do all the Mystic stuff.
Yeah.
Like you can bring in Mandarin, and the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is willing to do as many movies as it takes before he's redundant.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's his last flick. Maybe you do an Iron Man 4.
They've opened it up with the short to actually have a
proper
Mandarin.
They kept that open. That was my favorite of the shorts so far.
100%.
Yeah.
Just because that one short fixed an
all
entire
the movie. And funny, apparently they filmed that one shot right after the movie, so the movie hadn't been out yet. So so they knew that they had to fix that Mandarin loophole somehow. So my understanding is they filmed it like the same time.
But it's not Marvel clearly knew what they were pulling off with all of that.
Yeah.
So, but having an actual mystical Mandarin, I think, for like the last go-ahead of Iron Man, that would be a good...
Actual tech versus magic.
Yeah.
But they can now. The mystical arts are in there.
Yeah, he'll probably encounter Doctor Strange in Infinity War, and they'll have this weird, awkward conversation.
They're already having lunch together.
They'll have this awkward conversation. Someone will yell, "Shut up, Sherlock," and and they'll just have this discussion of how tech is better than magic, and then no, magic is better than tech. And then you have a Iron Man / Doctor Strange team up movie against
Mandarin. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
Yeah, they all had lunch together.
Now, to be fair, that's literally just lunch.
I know, they're just on set. That's actually the actors having lunch.
I feel like people are reading way more into it than...
Nope. Nope.
Reading the right amount into it.
It's the internet.
Yeah.
Long. Science bros. Beard bros.
There was a Chris Evans rebuttal where he was not invited to lunch. He's like, now who's making new friends or something like that. So.
Cool. All in all, Spider-Man.
Good movie.
Very.
And set up a lot of cool stuff, I think. So that's my hope now, is this makes enough money where Marvel can
present a case to
keep
Fox.
Making, well, not even Fox, but Sony, because there's only so many movies before that deal's done. I'm kind of hoping this solidifies, like, okay, let's hammer this out for the next 20 years and just call it a day.
I would be interested to see what that contract entails, like what kind of legality stuff. It's obviously they've ingrained tons of the MCU into the Spider-Man verse.
I would want a short summarized version.
Me too.
I just want to see what they can or can't do.
The actual contract would be 200 pages long or something.
And you know what? People are going to scour that contract looking for what they can or can't do.
Well, from what we know, it's for essentially those 3 movies until Spider-Man 3 is done. And Marvel can keep using Spider-Man.
Does that include the Infinity War then?
No. So essentially, Marvel's going to help Sony with 3 Spider-Man movies, and as that's going on, they can continue to throw Spider-Man stuff into
So as long as they don't make a Homecoming 3 or whatever 3.
Yeah, we're good. It's kind of the same position with the Hulk, because Paramount still, I think, owns the Hulk.
I thought it was Universal.
I forgot who owned
it.
They still do?
Yeah, one company.
That's why the Hulk has yet to have
a
solo movie again. Is in part because it's tough to do a Hulk solo film, but at the same time, someone else actually owns the rights too, so Marvel actually wouldn't make money off.
It's it's a similar contract, in fact.
Yeah.
Which is funny actually, because speaking of contracts, before this whole Spider-Man deal, no one knew what characters Sony owned because of the Spider-Man contract, short of Spider-Man. because no one wanted, like, apparently the original contract didn't talk about Venom. It didn't talk about all these other characters, but no one, like, Marvel wasn't going to step over anyone's toes just in case they wanted to come back and say, hey, Sony, that's our character. This is before the Homecoming deal was struck. So now that that's been solidified, we can start doing, or they can start doing.
Who owns who?
Yeah.
And that's always a big problem. I mean, even Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch were a big question mark.
Yeah, because
still
supposedly,
still surprising,
Fox would own them. Which
yes,
Fox can still use them.
But their first major appearance in comics was in an Avengers sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Marvel got away with.
I thought their first appearance was still as part of the Brotherhood, and that they didn't become Avengers until later.
It still is, but one of their big pieces was the fact that they were technically like Avengers at an early point of the Avengers.
Right, and
so that was how Marvel got to like.
And apparently, you can probably make the same argument with Wolverine. It's just unfortunately with Wolverine, he's a prominent X-Men before he was.
Well, and like I keep saying, if you're going to revert the rights back to Disney and Marvel at one point, now's the time. Now that Hugh Jackman is done, reboot with a new Wolverine. You know, whatever you need to do. Get Hugh Jackman's
input in it, even, I think.
No.
I think so.
You find a short, squat Wolverine.
No. Not have Hugh Jackman, but have him involved in the circus. I feel like over the decades, he should have a little bit of say.
Marvel's got it down now.
I would think it's super cool to see Hugh Jackman come in as like Romulus or something, though. Just like a Wolverine-ish character that's tied into the Wolverine story, but it's not actually Wolverine. It might be confusing, so I don't think it would ever happen. But if it did, I'd be like.
See, and with Marvel casting, I don't care who they cast.
I just trust them.
Because they have so far yet to screw up.
Yeah.
Whereas Fox now looking for a new Wolverine. Because they are doing an X-Force movie.
You can't have...
I am hoping to God Ryan Reynolds is on that panel.
Are they actually looking for Wolverine for the X-Men X-Force movie?
I'm not sure. I'm assuming that...
Because I think that for the X-Force movie, I could be wrong, definitely Cable and Domino.
Yep.
Possibly, I think Forge, and I'm pretty sure on Colossus as well.
That'd be good.
Because Colossus was also a member of X-Force at some point.
Was the Beast ever part of the X-Force?
I don't think so. Possibly Cannonball.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and I can't remember who else. Maybe Wolfsbane or something?
I don't know. But like if you're going to obviously I think now would be the perfect time to fold everything back in. And I mean Deadpool folds in naturally.
Yeah. Because he can break as many walls as he needs
can write
to,
that. He can
fold it in.
Yeah, and the audience would understand.
Well, that's what I mean. It all of a sudden gets folded in, and Deadpool's like, "You guys weren't around before."
It's easy, yeah. He'll look at Captain America and be like, "Last time I saw you were flaming."
Something stupid. Like he can make Deadpool. I'm not worried about.
No.
But the X-Men franchise as a whole, after Apocalypse, kind of.
It was very shaky.
You can kind of reboot, and everybody would be like, "Okay."
Well, they're filming.
I know they're filming
the Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix right now, aren't they?
Yeah. They've already confirmed that they're bringing the Shi'ar into it, which is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to that, actually.
If they do it all properly, it's awesome.
I kind of hope that they don't do anything with Corsair and the Starjammers since they're going cosmic, because I figure that would immediately be Last Standing It and just trying to force too much into the movie.
Oh, X-Men movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they're so hit and miss where it's just like, one goes down and you're like, come on, Marvel, now's the time, swoop in. And then Logan comes out and you're like, ah, crap.
So good.
And that's my fear now, is that all of the stuff coming out of Fox is just going to be R-rated.
You know what? It's a fear, but at the same time, if they keep putting out movies like Deadpool and Logan sticking with this formula, I'm happy with it. I don't care.
It's only if they start doing X-Men movies where it's like rated R, and I'm like,
But that's not. X-Men's supposed to be a family-friendly series. It's supposed to be
ish, yeah. But and I thought going back to Spider-Man quick, I thought actually there was quite a bit more like language in this one than there are. Like I noticed it more than in other Marvel flicks. So I'm not sure if that's just because it was Sony, so they didn't have to adhere to all the same rules that like Disney puts down in their stuff. Because Disney has rules to what can go in the Marvel flicks.
Yeah.
But if even like Michelle giving him the finger at that one point, and I'm like, it seems a little off-brand.
Yeah.
Bold.
But it fit her character.
Oh yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like it's not like I was like, oh, it's too much swearing. I noticed it a little bit more, but I'm like, it fits high school. Like, let's face it.
I actually didn't even notice it compared to the rest of the MCU, but now that you bring it up,
yeah.
That being said, they do have Star-Lord flipping the bird in First Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which I forgot until I watched it the other day, and I'm like, oh yeah, they didn't actually
they didn't censor it. They censored it in the trailer.
Yeah.
They didn't censor it in the movies.
And I mean, like, they do sneak some stuff in. It's not like they've toned everything down.
Yeah.
But this one, I just felt like they were more loose with it. But I'm like, it's high school for one thing, and two, if I'm Peter Parker and seeing some of the stuff that I'm seeing,
holy shit.
Yeah, like that's gonna come out of my mouth, or like what the hell, holy shit, like all this stuff that like he keeps saying. I'm going, oh yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I just caught it more just because, like, I'd watched Civil War and people even aren't swearing in that when they're fighting their friends, and you're just like, yeah. Then you go to that one and it's like, holy shit, what the hell? Holy crap. And you're just like, why is everybody so potty-mouthed?
But then it's high school.
Captain America would not be pleased. There should be a PSA video.
Oh, he probably filmed it already. They'll use it again somewhere.
And what an ending, huh? After the credits.
That's the best. People stay at the end of the movies, sometimes for very little payoff.
How many more of these do we have to do?
2.
Oh.
I just loved still, even before the Vulture and Scorpion scene, people were getting up and leaving. And everybody's sitting there going, what are you doing? This is a Marvel film.
Yeah,
you know there's going to be stuff.
The people behind us, they were talking, was like, oh, we'll probably have to go because we watched the late showing. They're like, yeah, we have to go. And then their friend's like, no, we got to stay. There's something. And then I was like,
there's always stuff. Yeah.
And like, you've stayed this long. Stick around an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, and our theater burst into laughter when Captain America comes out and starts like praising everybody for patience, essentially, and like no one was even mad at that one. It was just like, thanks, Marvel.
Thanks,
like,
Cap.
But
you've become self-aware.
Nice, it's also nice to know that I never have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I don't have to. Yes. If I go again, I do not have to stay all the way till the end to like focus in on the little like tidbits of like, what does Thanos have now? What is he doing? Where are they? Because Guardians, I need to see again with all of the like Guardians 2. They added so much to that post-credit scene. That,
and that's
there were like 5 of them.
Yeah,
and that was all James Gunn. He wanted all of that in there.
And James Gunn is apparently now like doing the Joss Whedon thing where he is helping write and guide Phase 4.
That's
okay. I'm still not entirely sure what Phase 4 is going to entail.
I don't think Marvel does. It starts with Homecoming 2 or Spider-Man 2.
Like Homecoming 2 takes place right after.
Well, it's the beginning of Phase 4.
Yeah.
But they're saying they're going more cosmic, which is why James Gunn is a little bit more involved.
See, going more cosmic makes more sense for where do you go after Thanos.
Yeah.
Maybe they are bringing in the Fantastic Four, and maybe they are going to do something with Galactus, or maybe the Annihilation Wave.
You know what? I would be so okay with the Secret Wars.
I would be so okay if they did, like, an Annihilation movie, because Annihilation was, in my opinion, the single best, like, Marvel crossover series they've ever done.
Well, we have to see where they go with even Infinity War.
And it really depends on what contracts are going to look like what movies they actually end up getting. What if they do get back everything, right?
I don't think Marvel would know what to do at that point. Like, it would just be like
it would throw everything off.
Guys, remember that Inhumans thing? Yeah, screw it.
We've got
the X-Men back. Like,
what do we do? We've got Deadpool now, guys.
No one knows who Maximus is.
We only spent 2.5 seasons of a TV show building up towards this.
Just bring in Vin Diesel as Black Bolt. You've got yourself a day.
Yeah, but he's not Black Bolt.
I know. So we'll see. Phase 4 is a big mystery. and just where they're going. And maybe there are backroom deals that they're trying to iron out right now that we are not
they
privy
have to have
to.
they have to have a backup plan after all these moves are done. Like
Sure.
they got to have something.
Well, but as soon as I got Spider-Man back, everything went.
Yeah, everything got shifted.
It got shifted back one, and then the Inhumans just kind of
fell down.
Yeah, I'm on the fence about how that's gonna go, because I mean, like,
Humans.
I like the characters of the Inhumans, but I think that based on their like cable TV track record,
Yep.
they're not doing so well so far.
I know, that's where I'm
And-
like, I'm hoping this IMAX opening,
Yeah.
there was at least a bit more budget and this and that went into the production of this, because it's not
all of
like,
it went to the IMAX cameras. Those things are expensive.
but it's not like, hopefully Disney just owns a couple of them,
Yeah.
and they were just like, here, use them.
Use those.
But
There are
and-
backup ones.
Yeah, yeah. They're the old ones. Just go ahead. But I'm hoping that like more budget went into it, because Agents of Shield can get away with not having a lot of effects, whereas a super-powered race of people kind of has to have some budgetary boom behind it.
Well, and what I heard is the reason that they only had Ghost Rider stick around for half the season is because they ran out of money to keep doing Ghost Rider effects.
Yep.
That's one character. You've got an entire cast of superpowered characters. How are you gonna get the budget for that? Like,
I know that's my worry with Inhumans.
I won't be surprised. I really hope that it does well.
Yep.
But I also won't be surprised if it gets canceled after one season, because there's just not enough.
See, I'm a little bit ahead of you. I kind of want Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to get canceled.
Oh, like, yeah, I'd be fine with that too.
Yeah, like totally. Like that show has been dragging on way too long for very little payoff.
Yes, they've done too much with Agents of Shield, where I wish they were all incorporated.
Yes.
More, because it's like Coulson has done enough now where Tony Stark or Black Widow should at least know he exists.
Because you think about when Black Widow dumped all of the
Shield
files. Like you would think someone would be like, Coulson's alive.
To be fair, there's a lot of stuff to sift through, and obviously the Avengers haven't been sifting. But in my mind, Tony Stark should be sifting.
Or not even just Tony Stark, but having like a
program or something.
That's my thing. Like he should have had a Google alert for like with the name
Coulson's
Phil
alive.
Coulson.
Phil Coulson alive. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
Phil Coulson.
Screw Spider-Man. Screw Spider-Man. He's still alive?
Yeah, Tahiti Project. Like, I feel like by now they should know Phil Coulson's still around. And yeah, if they cancel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they can scoop him back up, or just
I won't be sad about it.
No. It'll be bittersweet, but it is they've dug that hole so deep.
I do feel like they've been getting progressively better every season.
They have.
I think that the story for the whole Ghost Rider Darkhold thing was pretty weak.
The Darkhold was very. I wanted more from that.
Well, just what they did with everything.
It could have been actually a cool relic that they could have explained as something else, but they didn't.
What I actually really liked was the second part of season 3, where they started going into LMDs and really played off of like the AI thing, and I was like, this is the first really cool story arc you've done. I'm way more interested in what's going on with your life model decoys than I've ever been about what you did with Ghost Rider. You weren't even using a Ghost Rider I care about.
I was kind of less impressed with the LMD arc. I mean, I got a huge Age of Ultron vibe from it, but it felt a little bit better than Age of Ultron because they did have so many episodes to build that character and actually give her a bit of more of a personality than one-liners that Ultron had.
Somebody misses Chris.
Where's Gingy at?
He's camping.
He's not.
He's doing outside things.
We replaced him with a new guy, Roth.
Hello.
A hairier guy.
And much taller.
And it's actually a good thing you're on today's show with all the comic book stuff, because, like,
we can actually...
honestly, you know way more than, I have my little tidbits of Spider-Man knowledge.
Yeah.
But the rest of the Marvel Universe, for the most part, it's
He actually reads a lot more comics.
To be fair,
you haven't marveled in a while.
My comic book knowledge kind of starts at, like, 2000 and ends at around, like, 2010.
Yeah.
Like, I've got a really golden period of knowledge right in there. And then I haven't read a lot of the classic stuff. I have read more and more classic X-Men crossover stories.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I read the Age of Apocalypse. I read the entire Onslaught saga.
Nice.
I heard those were real good.
They are. And it's so much, like, in my opinion, those, like, old X-Men crossovers from the 80s and 90s are so much better than the crossovers they're doing now, because, like, the Onslaught saga, for example, legitimately requires, like, 5 volumes over about 7 different titles to tell the story, instead of being like, well, you can read this 7 or 8 issue volume and get the gist of it, and then everything else is kind of fringe stuff. Like, it's so much more interconnected, in my opinion.
The Avengers versus X-Men stuff, I've actually read through all of that. I didn't hate most of that story. I mean, I like the bits with the Spdier-Man and him fighting two Phoenix forces at the same time. But a lot of that it boiled down to very boring fight scenes.
See, I didn't actually read Avengers vs. X-Men. I think the last one I read was Siege, and I don't even remember what happened.
Well, the big thing in Avengers vs. X-Men was that the Phoenix Force was coming back to Earth, and they basically...
Surprise.
Surprise!
What?
And so Avengers was like, we need to destroy that, and then the X-Men were like, no, that is a mutant. We need to protect our mutant kind, and then so that's where the whole X-Men versus Avenger conflict came into be. And then the second half of that, like the last arc of it, got really weird because they ended up actually destroying the Phoenix Force, but not. You can't really destroy the Phoenix Force. It ended up splitting into like 5 different beings and landed in Cyclops, Colossus, Namor. No, Namor didn't.
Namor.
I want to say it did. And
he is a mutant.
Right, and then two others. I can't remember who they are. But then they ended up making their own sort of like, this is our world now. Like, we are the Phoenix Force, all 5 of them. And it got really convoluted. And again, that last half of that Avengers X-Men arc got really boring. The first half was all right because
when our powers combine, we form
the Phoenix, Dark Phoenix.
See, and for me, like, that's why I like the Ultimate comics, because they connected when they needed to, but they didn't have like the big event. And I mean, they're doing so many of the big events now. I think that's what's killing a lot of like my drive to read.
Because a lot of it's like, okay, so
you're just moving from event to event.
And it's I need downtime.
They kind of started that with around Avengers Disassembled House of M, because one led right into the other, and after that it was just like
then you got Old Man
into
Logan.
Decimation.
You got Old Man Logan. And
Old Man Logan was a side thing.
It was a side thing.
An event.
It was a side thing, but it factored into all of the alternate realities and alternate universes thing.
But that
bit.
So, like, you're talking about that kind of leading into the whole, like, battle world and whatever led into that.
But, like, Civil War came out, and then this came out, and then that came out, and it just kept... It's like, can we just go back to fighting, like, Magneto for a year and call it a day?
No, we can't do that, because Magneto might
be
a good guy. Might be a bad guy. We're not sure.
It doesn't sell, because that's only one...
powers. Maybe the High Evolutionary built him a suit.
But that was my thing. I have... trade-wise, and then back like into single issues for the Ultimate comics, most of the Ultimate stuff, because you read it and you get the little thing that goes, you know, read more about this in Fantastic Four issue, whatever. So I pick up that Fantastic Four run, because like the Ultimate Fantastic Four stuff, 'cause it's like, oh, cool. And then they started getting into all the big events too, and they had one that was really good because it pretty much, the problem with the Ultimate Universe was it was going 2616.
Yeah.
So they're like, nope. So Magneto brought his asteroid down to Earth and caused a giant like tsunami and all this different weather. So like a giant tsunami wiped out most of New York and killed Daredevil and like killed off like a crap ton of heroes.
Okay.
And then of course caused people to hate mutants again, which is why Iceman ends up living with Peter Parker, because he goes into hiding essentially. And then you get this whole new, like, they started shifting all the stories again because everything had gone to crap. So it was like, this is cool. I like this one big event. And then they decided they didn't want to do the Ultimate Universe anymore. And then they did, with Miles Morales, he wasn't gaining traction. So they're like, we'll bring Peter Parker back from the dead. And that became an event. And then this became an event. And then all of a sudden, all the universes, because of Galactus, smooshed.
Was it because of Galactus?
Yeah.
Was it Ultimate Galactus or our Galactus?
I have no
616
idea.
Galactus.
I stopped reading.
That doesn't sound like a Galactus thing to do.
I forgot. In some way,
I thought it was
stop.
Doctor Doom that did it.
I don't
know.
Oh, it was Evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe.
Oh, okay.
Trying to do something stupid caused, yes.
Okay.
Which leads to, and I mean, 616 Spider-Man I think is really cool now after the Superior Spider-Man arc.
Well, that Superior Spider-Man arc was...
I thought it did a lot to evolve the character.
It was very wacky.
As an arc, I wasn't...
It was super wacky and super kooky.
Fond of it, but he goes and gets Peter's doctorate.
Mm-hmm.
So Peter's actually Dr. Peter Parker now. He owns a company because Doc Ock had a bunch of money hiding, so he just took his money and started a corporation as Peter Parker. So Peter Parker now has like this giant tech company, and he's a doctor, and he has all this money.
The crazy thing is he comes back, he's like, what do I do?
Then it leads to a cool story where Peter Parker gets his body back and goes, so what? Like, I'm successful and shit? Like, this isn't... What? So Peter Parker, Spider-Man, now goes around the globe fighting crime.
Okay.
And Miles Morales, being sucked from the 616 universe, or from the Ultimate Universe, now is the Spider-Man of New York.
Okay.
So now there's, like, a shit ton of spider people, but...
Spider-Verse. After the Spider-Verse event.
No, after the... Whatever this amalgamation event was.
Not Civil War 2. The Secret War?
I think it was A Secret War.
A Secret War.
Yeah.
Since
Not
there's
the
been
Secret.
like 4 of them now or something.
Yeah, that's this one where Deadpool was like the only one to make it out unscathed in any way, shape, or form.
That's about right. Of course.
Because it's Deadpool.
Yeah.
So.
But does he really get unscathed? I mean, mentally, like, really?
He's already as unstable as he possibly can be.
He came out unscathed because he's been permanently maximum scathed.
Yeah, he's already at that limit.
Yes. You can't destroy what's already been wrecked.
That's the thing, like, I had the online subscription to the comics for a while.
Yeah.
Because that service is actually pretty good for catching...
That's what I've heard.
I keep thinking about that every time a Marvel movie comes out. That's like, use this promo code for 3 months free or whatever.
And that's when I used it first, and then I actually paid the money because I'm like, oh, I can get through an entire like, this Captain America arc. The one for Civil War, after Civil War when he dies.
I haven't read that one. I read the stuff leading up to Civil War and like just at that point.
Yep.
But like even like that Brubaker arc is so good.
Well, so that's what I mean. Like I had all these arcs where I'm like, I went into Civil War because I pretty much went as far back as I could with Spider-Man to the point where it got like not good.
Like hard to read.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be honest, some of those older things, like especially with all of the like descriptive box text, is it's just draining sometimes.
So I went back where it was like, hey, this is more established, 616 that we know. I read from there all the way up, and then it got to Civil War, and I'm like, cool, because I've read some of the Civil War stuff, because I think you lent me something ages ago.
Yeah, probably.
But, so I read through something Civil, so I'm like, hey, I'll read through all of it, and the bonus to the app is you can pretty much just hop from, like I have a list online going, okay, read this one, this one, this one.
Mm-hmm.
I add them to my list going, K, so I read everything in order.
Nice.
How it's supposed to be read, going like, yes. And then, Captain America gets shot. And it's like, what? And then his, Rebirth comic, essentially, I read through that, and you're going like, holy crap, this is awesome. And again, it's only, $15 a month or $10 a month or whatever the heck it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I canceled my subscription, and I'm like, I will wait another year before I need to catch up on a bunch of... And it's been 3 years, so... I'll
every time a movie comes out, they have a promotion.
And I never think about it, because again, I've already signed up, I have an account.
I still need to get my hands on the rest of that Brubaker arc just to see what happens, because I always thought that it was really, really lame when they did the death of Captain America, and then when it happened, I mean, I'd read enough Marvel comics where I was like, I actually don't care because he's gonna come back.
The way he comes back though is
and when it was revealed to me that he came back because of time bullets, I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Yep.
However, going back and actually reading the Brubaker run that Winter Soldier was based off of and leads into Civil War, you can actually see that they're working on time bullets. I don't think they say it in exactly that phrase, but as you're reading through, it's like, this was actually integrated into the story before they killed off Captain America.
Yep.
So it's not a retcon. It was there to begin with. Yep. And I was like, I'm okay with this now. I still wish that Marvel stuck to their guns a little bit more with what they do with characters, and I really think that Chris Claremont had the perfect idea back in the day when he got Madeline Pryor and Scott Summers hitched and sent them off to Alaska to retire or whatever. Like, when that happened, that was his idea of being like, we need to retire these characters.
Yeah.
We need to bring in a new cast of characters, keep it fresh, and then we can pull them in like big emergency situations.
Yep.
And that was his idea, and no one's gone for it.
No.
They just keep adding more characters instead of actually cycling through, and...
Well, and then you get to those awkward scenarios where it's like there's multiple Captain Americas, there's multiple Spider-Mans.
Well, because now that's Marvel's fix of like, we need more, kind of ethnic, people diversity in our comics, and we need to balance out like the male to female ratio. So we're just gonna start like passing off powers to people, and it's like, can we stop, please, and just make cool heroes that are chicks and or like not white?
So yeah, like you look at Captain Marvel now, right? Is a really good example of
And
that.
I didn't mind her because they brought her. She has a completely different power set.
She does.
And she pretty much named herself that because of like she's a fan of Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So, but her power set is more Mr. Fantastic than anything else.
Well, she's an Inhuman.
I haven't read most of it, but
I'm pretty sure she's an Inhuman.
well, everything is now because they wanted to get
Yes.
away from mutants. But
Yes.
like she did that, but the fact that all of a sudden Jane Foster becomes Thor because she's dying of cancer, so Thor's just like, here, take my powers.
I think it was a little more than just that, though.
Probably boils down mostly to that.
That's
though.
pretty much what it was. And then he's like old man Thor, and now they're passing the Thor mantle on again to one of his like group of 3 people.
Who knew that you could just pass that on?
And that's the thing that everybody's pissed off about. They're like, the mantle of Thor is supposed to be like those chosen worthy of being Thor become like Beta Ray Bill.
You can't just give it to someone.
Yeah, Beta Ray
They
Bill
have to
just
earn
didn't
it.
like Beta Ray Bill earned the right to be Thor.
Yeah.
Thor earned the right to be Thor.
Yeah.
Jane Foster dying does not automatically equate her to equal Thor.
No, like Beta Ray Bill was trying to save his dying species.
Yeah. Whereas, like, even if they would have turned Jane Foster into, like, a Valkyrie type character.
That'd be
through
cool.
some weird,
Yeah.
And again, it's the comics. Do something stupid, but just to turn her into Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So your main line of Thor is now, Lady Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Just release Thor and Valkyrie and then drop the Thor after a month.
Yeah.
And have a Valkyrie comic. Like,
That'd be fine.
And then Iron Man, it's just a chick who built an Iron Man costume.
Okay.
Like they're getting into this point where you're just going, what? Or sorry, she's not. And she's not Iron Maiden. She's
I heard
Ironheart or something like that.
Ironheart, yeah.
I heard something about them turning Jubilee into a vampire, and I was like, I'm done.
See, and that's where I loved the Ultimate comics, because Blade shows up in one of them, and like the vampires, like Morbius and those guys start showing up, and you had like vampire everything. Because something stupid happened, and so like Daredevil all of a sudden is a vampire, and you're like, what's going on? And then you find out that it's some alternate like reality, twisty, whatever MacGuffin, and
It's
everything kind of goes back to normal after. But you're like, it's the Ultimate Universe. Weird shit can happen. Because it's not actually like the overall like connected to 12,000 comic arc.
Mm-hmm.
It's these 3 or 4 comic lines that it's attached to, and weird things can happen.
I just wish that Marvel had more consequence to
Yes.
the events in their comics.
And that's the biggest piece is it's like Civil War 2 comes out and you're like, yay.
It'd be nice to see like characters die off and not come back.
Yep.
I
And then
agree.
again, you have your alternate realities where you can do, or you can do prequel stories. Because don't
Yeah.
tell me that you've told every Captain America story out of World War II or out of this or out
Yeah. Or like when they did Fantastic Four Books of Doom.
Yeah.
Years and years later. To tell the origin of Doctor Doom from his point of view.
That's what I mean. You can always go back, but kill them off in the future. So it's like, if only Reed Richards were here, and it's like, well, too bad.
Guess what? You've got other inventors.
And that's where I think the Ultimate Comics did
Go talk to Forge.
fairly
He's
good
crazy.
job. Because Ultimate Reed Richards is still floating out in this nether space somewhere, and he is a prick, and he is like a bad guy. So it's like evil Reed.
I like the idea of that.
Which is really cool because, yeah, that kind of genius attached to a bad guy is... Again, I like bad guys who think.
Yeah. That's why I loved Zemo in Civil War, because he's a bad guy that was like, I can't physically go up against any of the Avengers, but
I can
manipulate them to make them fight each other.
I know everybody's like, well, everything had to line up perfectly, and I'm like, or Zemo had 12 plans.
Yeah.
And just knew when to execute what plan. Like, if this, then this. If this, then this. Like, that's the whole point to Zemo. It's not like he was like, if I do this, this will happen, and like, everything will land perfectly in line. It's like, no, I shall have this happen, and then this happen. And if this happens, then I'll go this way. You know, if this, then this. If A, you know, if A, then B. If, you know, C, then D. Like, he just connected all the dots.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, everything will work out perfectly in the end. Which is, yeah, I like Zemo. I loved it. Like, Civil War was...
That was a great...
So
well
good.
Done. Russo brothers. Cool. Either way,
cool.
We've talked a lot about Spider-Man.
Talked a lot about comics.
Yes, it's good though when we have
comic book
person
aficionado.
Because again,
but only Marvel. I know nothing about DC.
That's okay.
Superman.
No one needs to know DC.
Batman. They're going through another rebirth.
I was gonna say they're doing another rebirth, which is driving me absolutely crazy on the DC side because New 52 came out and I'm like, cool, jump on point.
That's the point.
And then it's like, rebirth, jump on point, and I'm like, you have to stop. There's only so many times you can have a jump on point.
I can only watch Batman's parents die so many times.
Well, and thankfully the Batman arc didn't do that.
Oh, that's good.
The Batman arc just got confusing for anybody who sort of knew Batman, because New 52 started where Dick Grayson and the two other wards and or children, Damian, and whatever the other one was. There's three, but there's been three Robins.
I know what you're talking about.
They all still live at Wayne Manor.
That's odd.
Like, they're all still, like, close buddy pals.
That's awkward.
And all of their respective, like, so Dick Grayson is Nightwing at that point.
Right.
But still living with Bruce, like, in the manor and everything, and they're all still, like, chill and not antagonistic towards each other.
That's...
Jason Todd.
Oh, Red Hood.
No, Robin. So they rebooted a bunch of the stuff, but they didn't reboot everything. They're like, Batman's still Batman. But not everybody knows about Batman. And it's like, I'm confused. So yeah, New 52 was like, they rebooted stuff, but they didn't reboot stuff. They're like, if the character needed a reboot, they rebooted. They're like, Batman's cool, just leave him.
Well, to be fair, like... Do we really need to see his parents die again?
No, so that was...
it's the same...
Unless they're going to reboot him and do a completely different origin.
Whoa.
I know.
I think that you get even bigger...
Yeah.
bigger riots.
Probably.
His parents are still alive.
Yes. His parents are villains.
And Batman's the Joker.
I've heard of that story.
Or... His wife and son get shot outside the theater, and Dad becomes Batman for some reason. He likes bats. I don't know.
That's happened in one of the alternate universes.
That doesn't surprise me, actually.
One of the alternate universes, in one of the comics, someone sends him back in time, essentially, and he is forced to shoot his parents. So Bruce Wayne is actually the killer.
Sure.
Because...
that's one of the alternate universes. During the shooting, they shoot Bruce and Martha, but they don't shoot the dad, and then his dad becomes Batman.
Oh yeah, no, this is not an alternate universe thing. This is like Batman gets sent back through one of his bad guys.
He takes Frost's place?
And has to end up shooting his parents, and he's given the choice. Like, he can leave them alive, but he knows he has to become Batman, and the only way to become Batman is to become Dark Broody Boy because his parents are dead.
That's cold.
So he has to be the one that pulls the trigger, and you're just like, well, a cool story in, like, the philosophical thought process of Batman.
And time.
This is just dumb.
And time travel.
And I feel like that's a lot of the DC stuff. It's like, it's a cool what-if comic in my brain. But why are you doing this in an actual comic as, like, canon?
At least in Marvel, usually, like, at least 50% of the time, if they're going to be like, we need to do some crazy time travel stuff, They either introduce a new character that does the time travel stuff, like Cable or Bishop.
Yep.
Although I don't know if Cable was originally introduced being a time traveler. He may have just been there and then they retconned him as being a time traveler.
They might have, but either way, he time travels now. That's how I know Cable.
Or they use a pre-existing time traveler like Bishop or Cable.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't always work out, like, and I'm not sure how the timelines always work out with Marvel stuff, whereas, like, if something changes in the past...
Dark Phoenix is involved, no one's sure how they
Or just throw Scarlet Witch in and change everything up.
All the mutants, not no more mutants.
No more mutants.
All the mutants.
I still think that's how they do it in the MCU.
All the mutants. It's reverse House of M.
Where she just sits there going, I wish there was more people like me. Poof.
All the mutants.
Well, the third arc in season, whatever this last one was, of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was essentially just House of M, but not mutants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they've been playing a lot of the stuff, is like, they're Inhumans, or like just meta-humans who,
No, enhance.
Well, it wasn't even dealing with that as much as just like, it had the concept of they created an alternate reality where whoever created it was in charge of, instead of like granting a wish for everyone, it was taking away a regret for everyone.
Yeah.
Like, it was the same thing.
Yep.
You have a couple of people who go in and know that this is an alternate reality, Wolverine, and start recruiting people and making them believe that this isn't the real world. Go in, save the day.
Yep.
House of M.
Good old Wolverine, always knowing what's going on.
Yeah. I thought that was a really cool way of
it was an alright
making Wolverine remember his past, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because his one wish was knowing his past.
You got it. You got it, bub.
Ching.
Shink.
Also felt really good for House of M, Peter Parker, and then it all went away on him again. No! He finally had the life he wants.
That's how Peter's life's supposed to be.
Shit show all the time.
That's why Spider-Verse was cool, because you got all the different Spider-Man. So there's like a couple of them with, like, there's one with a wedding ring. Go for
There's one of them where Bruce Banner was Spider-Man.
There's one where
That's stupid.
Or there's one where
there's one where
Aunt May was Spider-Man, or Spider-Woman, like she pops out. There's one with his kid who becomes Spider-Girl, because Peter Parker and MJ got killed, and she had powers because she was like the descendant of Peter Parker. So his genetic mutation transferred over to her. So she all of a sudden came out of the rift as like, I'm the Spider-Person from my universe.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I'm confused. Spider-Pig comes out. Like, Spider-Ham. They went balls to the wall.
I think the best one is still Spider-Gwen.
She was. That's why she got her own comic line.
I've heard good things about Spider-Man. I have not read any of it.
She gets... So
the art style's kind of kooky, but it's a good story.
I like the art style. Gwen Stacy gets bit by the spider.
Yeah.
And Peter Parker becomes the Lizard.
Yeah. And here's the best part. Matt Murdock, still a lawyer, but he's an attorney for the Kingpin. He's basically evil for the Kingpin.
Oh.
He works for Kingpin.
To be fair, that's not really far off how I can see him going. He also becomes the leader of the Hand in legit 616.
Yeah.
Sure, there's that.
Sure.
That's just to turn them good. And he's not really Daredevil, but he is. But he's not.
Yeah, the Spider-Gwen bit was a lot of Marvel's attempt to really give female characters their role, because Captain America, female black chick.
But that's an okay way of doing it. Alternate universe.
I'm totally okay with that. I am.
Change up stories, but in the actual 616 universe, stop screwing with shit. Just make new characters.
Yes, they can experiment with them.
Pass the mantle on to the Young Avengers. You've got Patriot instead of Captain America. So you've got Black Captain America, you've got Lady Hawkeye.
Yep. No, they just
some other things, I don't know.
The Falcon got the whole Captain America mantle.
Yeah.
Which I like. He was cool, and he just like Captain America as a mantle. I can see getting passed on as Cap, gets older.
But Thor's a name.
Did you know
Thor's a name.
that at one point in the future, Cable actually does take on the mantle of Captain America at some point?
That makes sense.
I can see that happening. It'd be awkward.
But I feel like it's very much more the military mantle and less so the like patriotism mantle.
Yes. And last bit of fun stuff from Homecoming was when they were packing that plane. There's a prototype Captain America shield.
Yeah, I feel like that was.
And Thor's magic belt.
Can't pronounce it. Mjoljuice or
Maja something or other.
Thor's magic belt.
Because it does have its own weird like.
Yes, its pronunciation and characters for that. Yes. I think that Captain America shield is just a throwaway. I don't think that's actually going to be used for anything right now.
I think it can come back in Civil War pretty.
You mean Infinity War?
In Infinity War, yeah. Mm-hmm. What is Thor's magic?
It doubles his strength. That's all.
Yeah.
It does.
There you go.
Megan Yord.
Megan Yord.
Megan Yord.
Bless you.
But yes, his magic belt.
A belt in which doubles the user's strength.
But I think both of those are going to pop back up in Infinity War.
I'm actually surprised.
Cap doesn't have a shield.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Thor's belt doesn't belong in Asgard and he has it.
I'm assuming it was either Stark Tech. Because if you listen to Thor is just magic. Their magic is just advanced science. Mm-hmm. So if he's been sharing some of that,
but if this is an artifact,
Stark,
but it's an artifact that was supposed to be in Asgard, though, isn't it?
In the comics, but who cares? We've left those far behind.
That's fair.
Like we're at the point now where if Stark was like, "Oh, I have seen some Asgardian technology, I can like
recreate it to
I
a
can
certain
retrofit,
degree."
yeah."
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's like, I wonder if this belt would help Thor in any, like, it should power him up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assuming he still has a hammer right now. We'll see. We'll see how that happens.
I'm excited for Ragnarok.
Yes. Cool.
Me too.
Yes.
On that note, though.
We're done with spoilers. I'm going to turn that off.
We're done with spoilers. Go watch Spider-Man Homecoming. If you're just joining us now, watch the takeaway.
This has been like a 2.5 hour post-credit show. No one's watching.
Hey,
yeah, well,
they'll watch.
If they're dedicated enough, they'll call us out.
We have people, yeah. We'll get angry emails.
Watch.
Thanks
Ding's streaming this at the campsite.
Why is it so long? My data!
Don't worry, there's no hockey on there right now.
Doesn't need data for hockey.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes.
On this post-credit show.
Yes. Check us out next week at the same time.
Same time, same place, same great taste, same great flavor.
You can also find us at barrelrollnews.com.
You'll find all of our social media links there. It's Discord, Facebook, Twitter.
Tony's going to start a Snapchat.
I'm going to start a Snapchat. How do you Snapchat? I'm going to Google how to Snapchat.
Okay.
How to Snapchat.
I think you just take goofy pictures of yourself.
And does it add like filters and stuff?
I think you can add filters. Or is that Instagram?
I don't know.
I think that might be Snapchat.
I don't know.
I feel like Snapchat would probably been on the bandwagon. Question mark ...
He's going to do it, though.
I'm going to try. I'm going to try.
Until it goes out of business, and then he'll start.
Yes, wait until Snapchat goes under, and then I'll save it.
When Vine started going under, that's when he started vining. And then a week later, Twitter's like, we're not actually getting rid of Vine, we're just incorporating it into Twitter.
Done. Saved. Bye, Vine. The best.
Either way, you can find our Discord, yes, our Facebook, our Twitter, all that stuff. You can also find our Patreon link there, so patreon.com/BrNN.
Go take a look at the...
You can pay us money to do dumb stuff or play games with us.
Yes, we have a Patreon exclusive Discord chat.
Yes.
That they can take part of. Play games with us. Play The Forest.
And talk with us.
You can use your voice.
We can use ours. And I'll only call you bad names once.
I'll do it like...
Unless you pay me for it, then I'll call you all the bad names.
That's getting to a different territory. On that note, we should go.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
We'll see you later.
Bye.